What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fish and Gritz Sports. Today is Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. Did you miss us last week? You know, I, I, I had to take a little mental health and physical break there. The guys picked the slack, or at least I thought they did.
No, we didn't.
Technology got the best of.
Kawhi Leonard sat and the whole team had to miss the game.
Sorry, we gotta sit this one out, guys. It ain't working out for us. But I missed you. I missed doing this. Missed you guys, and I'm back at it like a crack addict, feeling rested. I can actually lift my head up and look at the ceiling now without feeling like I'm about to fall to the ground. For posterity here, we just passed Labor Day weekend. We had a nice 3-day weekend here. I hope everyone got some rest, got out there and did some things they enjoyed, got some time with the family. I know I certainly took it easy this past weekend. Marco, what'd you do this past week, or this weekend, excuse me?
I took a little hurricane nap, and then I spent my whole Saturday watching college football, and a good part of my Sunday watching college football, and it's good to have it back.
Football's back. Micah, you took a little road trip.
Out to Augusta.
Yeah. Oh, Augusta.
But mine wasn't as happy of an occasion, but it was, yeah.
Yeah. There anything that y'all want to shout out or mention before we get started here, get rolling with the show?
Oh, yeah. First and foremost, we missed this. We missed this because we couldn't difficulties couldn't record last week. But the 25th anniversary of the AT Aliens album was last week. So shout out to Outkast. We're all fans. We got our our name is from Outkast. So yeah.
I mean, did y'all hear that verse Andre dropped for Donda that they didn't include? What that would have been the best thing on the album.
People say Kanye's a genius, and then I see him do things like that. It's like, how do you not take advantage of an Andre 3000 verse and you include other people that are on there?
Well, he did. He threw the label under the bus on that one. He said that they released it before he wanted it to be released, so they cut stuff out that he didn't want cut.
Yeah, but on the Andre issue in particular, I think it was like Andre got on the song thinking it was going to be like about mothers and that kind of thing. That's the whole reason he even wanted to do it. And then it turned out to not even be that. So
well, I mean, it's Kanye.
Yeah, like you said, you see, because they call Kanye a genius, and then you see Andre 3000 over there. It's like, if Kanye is a genius, what is Andre?
What's above a genius?
Well, a legend.
Is savant above a genius?
What's cooler than cool, man?
Ice cold.
God, man, that's
yeah. So, I should mention, I need to change all of our things on here that pop up and get Juan to change the graphic as well. But we have officially been rebranded from Fish and Grits the podcast. We got our art in. We're now Fish and Grits Sports, but we've been referring to ourselves here as a while. So be on the lookout for that. You should see everything change. And anyone who bought any of the merch, I know there's a couple of you that did, that says Fish and Grits podcast. Now that's collector's edition.
Obsolete.
Well, we're still that on Spotify, right?
Yeah. I guess if you find us on Spotify, that we are technically Fish and Grits the podcast.
Well, we're still a podcast. It's still technically a podcast.
Yeah, but the brand as a whole.
Yeah. Maybe if you bought a shirt, we could sign it, and it'll be worth a lot of money one day.
Maybe that'd be nice. So like we kind of alluded to earlier, something happened this past weekend, and I just feel like a whole person again. And it sounded something kind of like what was that, Marco?
Hot, blue 32, 2-3-2, or more like looking over to the sideline to see what card the coach is holding.
Giant signs of Britney Spears, the number 6, and a Rubik's Cube. Like, oh, got it. I know what the play is.
Got it, coach. Then run out there and do the wrong play anyway.
I don't remember what the Rubik's Cube was. Shit. Oh, wait. We're actually not in the Suicide Squeeze. I clicked on the wrong thing. We're in the Gritz Blitz, baby.
Woo!
We're the
extended, the college version.
The Gritz Blitz Junior.
Yeah.
Gritz Blitz light.
Amateur hour.
The light grit.
The amateur hour at the Gritz Blitz. So college football's back, as Micah, in his excitement, threw everything off his desk as he was elated. The football season kicked back up, and we got some pretty good games this weekend. Like I had mentioned too before, like it filled a hole in me. Like we've been missing this for like a year and a half, and some people may be like, "Wait, what? We had football last season. We were able to watch college football." Yeah, but we didn't have the fans, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have the thing that makes college football so great. For those of you up north, or actually, we do have some international listeners that are listening right now. College football isn't college football without the fans, because just like soccer in Europe wouldn't be soccer without football wouldn't be that without the fans. That's how college football is here. Like professional football, fans make a difference in a few stadiums, but they're not really as engaged as they are in college football. So we got it back. We're not here to discuss the politics of that, even though COVID is still very real and very active. I guess this is just what we're going to do now. So we got that back, and it was great. We saw some really good games this weekend. We saw some teams get back at it pretty early that we've been waiting to see. A lot of teams that have been talking junk,
Coastal Carolina, baby.
Talking shit to each other. Hey, look, don't besmirch the good name of Coastal Carolina. They are a powerhouse, baby. A powerhouse.
That's my go-to team this season.
So we saw, like I said, we saw some games that really stood out, and we saw some games fall flat. We'll get to that later. But what's the one thing, like, from college football season? Like, it could be pageantry, it could be tradition, it could be anything. What's the one thing that you guys have missed the most, or that stands out the most when you think about college football? Marco, I want to get you first on this one. What's the thing that stands out the most to you?
I just feel like when you wake up on a Saturday and there's all those games lined up, it just feels like, time sort of stands still. You can just sort of relax, and, you just got football after football after football. And,
honestly, just, all day long.
Right. You have no other pressure or things to do, but just worry about some football. And I think that's always love that feeling. So
a full slate of football, that's your thing that you like the most about it?
Yeah, and just the feel of, the time of year, and just like, it's just it's like time. Comforting. It's comforting.
I like it. Micah, what's the thing about college football, or anything in that season that you like?
I got two. The unpredictability of it. Mm-hmm. For instance, like the Florida State game, I turned that game off well before halftime, thinking it was over, only to find out.
Don't spoil it yet. That's later.
and then the idiotic quotes of a lot of like the coaches and analysts. We got that idiotic quote from Brian Harsin down in Auburn.
I don't think that's a real quote. I tried to find it the best I could. I couldn't find it anywhere.
What's the alleged quote? What did he say?
The alleged quote was something about how they took out.
Pull it up, because we got it posted in there. It says, "After the way we dominated the Zips yesterday, I believe this team will roll through the SEC and blow the doors off Georgia and Bama this year." One, what? It's repetitive. Two, why is blow capitalized?
Yeah,
I think someone on blow made this.
But
any problem with what he said. I thought that was sort of funny.
I don't, but of course we're still in this very, very PC time. So you like anything can be taken offensively, and it was just like I was joking. I was trying to make a joke. I don't care. It wasn't funny.
And he stole that joke. So I mean, that joke has been told before, but he just didn't tell it as eloquently. But I still chuckled when I heard it.
How dare you say that your player should be executed?
Oh,
I knew people were gonna take offense to that.
Man.
Like I knew for a fact people would take offense to that when I heard it, but I definitely chuckled.
Oh,
I laughed too. When I heard it live, I was like, wait, did I hear that right? Because no one reacted to it. The reporter, like the sideline reporter, didn't say anything. Like, did I catch that right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Apparently that's like from NFL films or something back in the 80s or something.
Oh, really?
Some coaches like, so what do you think about your offense's execution? He's like, something like, oh, I wouldn't mind it at all, or something like that.
Well, no, all right. So he said he talked about it. They asked about the execution. He said, "Well, I don't know about execution, but our players definitely should be executed after that." It was something to that extent.
No, that's what he said, but he took that joke from the past. That joke.
No. It was pretty bad though. It was, but I took it as a joke when I heard it.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, what? How did? Oh my God! No!
Like kill his players. Like what?
I mean, it's a Catholic school.
Hey man, they're super harsh up there.
Hey, look, I was baptized Roman Catholic, so yikes. Are we all in the same club here?
What, baptized Roman Catholic?
Yeah.
Michael, were you?
I wasn't.
You just went to. That's right. You just went to Marist.
Yeah.
Which I think you got it worse than all of us. Anyway, so recapping some of the games that stood out this week, because there's no way we could go through the entire schedule. That'd be the entire show. There's so many teams in college football that play. But we saw Ohio State lead off the week as they took on Minnesota. They wound up winning 45-31, but some people were a little critical of them because they didn't slam the door and really close out the game on historically and just as far as talent goes, a much weaker roster in Minnesota.
But hasn't Minnesota been a good team for the last couple of years?
They've been up and down. Yeah, they've certainly been up and down. They're not like they're kind of like Georgia Tech, like in that same.
I'd say they're better than that.
I would say, like, here's the thing: it's hard to judge because Big Ten teams are so inconsistent. Like you got Ohio State, who's always there. Michigan, who typically is good, but Wisconsin is typically good, and then you have a bunch of teams who, given any random year, like 1 year to be Northwestern is like undefeated up until they play Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And
I give them that kind of thing.
State. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's no talent.
I feel like they riddled off a pretty good record last year before they started closing off their or whatever. Maybe that was 2 years ago, but I remember there was some time when Minnesota was making some noise. But yeah, keep on going.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue with you on that fact that what Minnesota does is never really consistent. Mm-hmm. But speaking of inconsistency, right down the road here, UNC started off the season against Virginia Tech, and two things really took a hit here. Their chances at the postseason, because they were supposed to be a team that could sneak in contention with all the talent, but losing two big running backs, that's going to hurt any team. And so their postseason contention took a big hit, and Sam Howell's Heisman candidacy got off to a rough start as he did not have a good game against Virginia Tech. And that's not to say Virginia Tech's a bad team. They've just been down since Frank Beamer's retired. They've never quite been the same. They're kind of like, that might be a better comparison, Virginia Tech and Minnesota.
Yeah, I was thinking that when we were saying it. But
yeah,
UNC is just, they're the typical team to, like, if you give them a ranking, put a number by their name, they're gonna let you down. Like that's just.
But I mean, also when you got Mac Brown as a head coach, you're always gonna fold under pressure.
Bruh, when you lose a combination of running backs who rushed for like 800 yards against Miami last year. Was it 800? Was it 800 mark?
It was like 4, wasn't it?
It was some ungodly number that I've never seen.
Yeah, it was
And
like 200 plus a piece.
Yeah. So like when you lose 2 running backs of that status, and it's not like they're not like Alabama, they're not like Georgia, where they consistently get elite like running backs in their recruiting class. So it's hard to overcome that. It's like hard to rebuild from that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's UNC at the end of the day. But Virginia Tech, I mean, they finished the season last year strong, and it looks like they're going to continue that into this season. They're getting better under I just lost his name, the head coach up there, young guy. Anyway, he's got that program back on track, and they're going to be a team that's always going to be a tough out. Will they ever return to like the Michael Vick, Frank Beamer type days? Hard to say, but they're certainly not going to be a pushover. So in kind of keeping in tradition, what we've been talking about here, another team failed to really live up to what their potential was supposed to be, even though they did close this one out. Number 2, Oklahoma routed Tulane early, but let them storm back late in the game and wound up winning 40-35. A lot of people did not like this and didn't think that this should have been even a close game as far as talent goes. And it's kind of reflected in the way they fell down the top 25 here, with Georgia replacing them at the number 2.
Yeah,
as came out. But I do want to say something. Spencer Rattler was quoted after the game, and he said Tulane is the hardest hitting team he's ever faced. He said they were really trying to put everything they could into it, and
that's not saying much playing in the Big 12, yo.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, of course, you play in the Big 12, you don't face a lot of
people who hit at all.
Period.
I will say that, like, I mean, I had a little money on that game. I needed Oklahoma to cover the 35. It was looking good at first, but yeah, I mean, that Oklahoma defense, first of all, is horrific, just absolutely terrible. And then, I mean, Spencer Rattler went 30 of 39, which on paper looks good, but when you're making bad decisions against Tulane, I don't know, man. I'm sort of starting to question my guy, because that was the same kind of goofy stuff he was doing at the beginning of last season. And I know he finished out strong, and he still has a great chance for the Heisman, but he was making a lot of bad mistakes in that game. And he was keeping them in it. He was keeping Tulane in it, giving them life, especially after facing a hurricane. A team always comes up fired up when they have some type of event like that going on. So
yeah.
Can I say one thing? Is there a curse as far as like Skip Bayless goes? It's like wherever team he supports, it just falls apart. The Cowboys, Oklahoma.
I mean, the Spurs have always been pretty good defensively.
Lately, I don't know. The more and more fame he gets, the worse and worse the defenses of teams he supports are. I just hope he doesn't support the Braves. Just like
please stay away.
Support the Nationals or
the Rangers or whatever team he likes.
Anybody
the
but
Dodgers.
us.
Please support Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I need Mookie Betts to start booting some balls in the outfield.
That would be beautiful. So moving on to the next, and a game that I actually watched quite a bit of, even though it was so boring in the first half. Penn State and Wisconsin, they really slugged it out. They went into halftime tied 0-0. It was a rainy game, so I know that had something to do with it. But both these teams have pretty good defenses and like to play very similar. They're run heavy with play action based off of the run, and they play good defense. Now, in the second half, when the rain let up, there was an offensive explosion, relatively speaking here, with 26 points scored and with a potential for 7 more. But Chez Malusi, the starting quarterback for the
Chez Malusi. Hey.
Chez, I know when I heard it, when I first I was like, what, this guy from the 50s? Hey, I'm Chez Malusi, guys. I'm here to play quarterback.
Hey.
He's a moonshine smuggler, Chez Malusi, during the Prohibition era. Well, he played like it at the end, actually, when he threw it right to an underneath linebacker to end the game. It was just an awful
I know, like
pick.
mob ties. He's throwing point shaving out here. Like, what the hell was
Hey, guys, I got us at -3 on this one. I took the under.
Hey, Ches got us. Hey, Ches Malusi.
Oh, man. Our boy Ed Ogeron, though, is probably on the way out down in LSU as they went to LA and
they got ran all over. They got trampled like they were playing like they were playing themselves or something. Like that's what you expect LSU to do to people.
They got mopped up.
they looked outclassed in every facet. Like Ed Ogeron is really proving to be a product of what's his name?
Les Miles.
No, not Les Miles. The offensive coordinator for Brady. Brady's system. Joe Brady. He carried that team. He was the reason that team won a national championship, because as soon as he left and that talent followed, like, you can lose talent, but with a great system, you can, still produce. But when Brady left and his understanding of the Saints offense went with him, Ed Ogeron was like, run the ball.
Right.
We're gonna run the ball.
And then then he called the kid a pansy for wearing light blue.
Oh no,
I missed that.
You didn't hear that?
Yeah. A UCLA fan started talking trash.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you come down here with your sister blue shirt on?
But the thing is, like, that quarterback for UCLA against Hawaii in the game that blew out, he threw for his percentage was like less than 50%, and then they came out against LSU and made him look
dotted them up, dotted them up.
Like Joe Montana, that fool was out there balling on them. So yeah, I mean, he doesn't have long for that job. But that's funny these days. That literally 3 years removed from a title, it's like a guarantee this dude's not going to be there past.
Man, I'll be shocked if he makes it halfway through this season. In all honesty.
Things have changed so much. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, look at all the places he's gone and failed. I mean, Ole Miss, Oregon. Yeah. He failed at Oregon, and then now he's back in,
Baton Rouge.
Chip Kelly's like, you followed me up at Oregon?
Chip Kelly's looking real competent now, I will say.
Well, Chip Kelly's always been a competent coach. It's just, when his time ran out in Oregon, people kind of, I don't want to say figured him out, but he had a dip in his recruiting, and the rest of the country caught up to him. And Chip Kelly needs a certain type of player, and there needs to be a certain appeal. And Oregon, as appealing as the uniforms and the ties with Nike goes, it's still Oregon at the end of the day. They're going to get some good products, but they're never going to be able to recruit with the SEC, ever.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's Oregon. Eugene, Oregon, in the middle of the country.
Yeah, and that goes with it.
It's like, there's no beaches closed.
I will say, though, I do love when UCLA or USC are relevant. Like, I think it's good for
USC. See, and that's the point I was leading up to. Southern California teams can compete because LA has its appeal. It's Hollywood. Like, you have all the things there, and there's tradition down in UCLA and USC. Like, they have a history, so you can do that and recruit there. And I think Chip Kelly, now that you're seeing him 3 years in, you're starting to see the benefits of having a big name coach down there at a place like that with an offense that's appealing. So you started to see that. And I don't think this was LSU's bad. Ogeron's not deserving of being a head coach in the NCAA, or at least at a big program like that, I should say. But Chip Kelly is. Chip Kelly is very competent and always has been. Get off my soapbox a bit here. Let's move it to some games that the three of us really took a vested interest in this season, or this weekend, I should say. Excuse me.
Three biggest games of the week.
Honestly,
have all our teams involved.
When I saw that, I was like, wow, these are the three biggest games, and here we are. So as you know, I'm a Florida State fan. Oh, it's over this shoulder. Florida State fan. Marco's a Miami fan, and of course, Micah is our resident UGA fan.
Go!
We're going to kind of introduce these in the order that they happened, and honestly, in the interest, how interesting the games were, if we're just being real. So, Marco, you're going to bat lead off on us here as we cover Miami versus Alabama. Give you a quick rundown. You know, Miami, of course, lost 44-13 at following weeks and weeks of buildup here. But it kind of left us like Marco was halfway through the game asleep on the couch. So, Marco, what happened to your Hurricanes?
It is funny, though, that both my teams, the Georgia State Panthers and the Hurricanes, lost by like the same margin.
See, but hold on. In that Georgia State game, I was conflicted. Being Georgia State and Army, I was like, what do I do? Right. Who do I root for? Go teams!
Go!
But what happened? I mean, I think what happened was that it's not fair to play Alabama unless you're like, I don't know. We're going to see as they roll through their schedule. But, I mean, you see those NFL linemen they have. We got no penetration. Like, and then De'Aaron King was just running for his life out there. And then, obviously, I don't think Manny's the right coach for the job. I mean, after the game, he was talking about, hey, they won the title by 27 points. They do this to everyone. What did you expect? It's like, yo, why is my head coach saying this? Get this dude out of here. But, yeah, I mean, we're just not talented enough. And that's very clear. Once we talk about your team down there, I'll say who's probably has a better chance of competing in the ACC this year. But I mean, it's hard to tell. I know that your next question was this: the Miami, was this a sign that Miami isn't good? And I think so, because even if they are talented enough to be good, you don't take a loss like that in the first week of the season and not be horrifically impacted. You know what I mean? A lot of these players' spirits are going to be broken, especially considering that they go so high off like things like turnover chains and emotion and all that. So whatever skill that they have, it's going to be compromised now that the whole country's calling them fraud. So, hey.
So you kind of answered it there, but is this, like, give me straightforward yes or no. Is Miami as bad as they looked this weekend? Or is that oh, really?
Yes.
You think that's more so that than it was Alabama just coming out
and not even to say that they're going to come out and like not win a game, but I think in terms of like, is this team a title contender? Is this team a playoff contender? Hell no. So to me, from what we're used to at this program, that means they're not good at all. You know what I mean? No one's trying to see Citrus Bowl Miami. No one's trying to see, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you're not competing for a playoff spot, then you're not good. So, and Alabama is that good. They're the class of NCAA football right now. So.
I mean, they are in their own class. Like, you can't even say they're the class of. Like, they are
the class. Yeah,
it's like Alabama, and then everyone else is having class down here.
This dude Bryce. I mean, yeah, he's good, but he was throwing wobblers on a way to a 400-yard for a touchdown.
And our boy Bryce was probably on the other side going, "Yeah, woo, yes. Alabama! I told you,
roll tide,
SEC."
I'm an SEC fan.
Then he put on his Georgia shirt for the next game.
Oh, all right. So, in a game that was far more interesting and more competitive, you saw Georgia and Clemson with DJ Uwe Ungalele playing all the hits, except this game.
DJU
on where's Clemson at? What city? Anderson, South Carolina.
Well, it's technically Clemson.
Oh, is it the city of Clemson?
Yeah, it's
the city of Clemson. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Anderson is literally right there. But yeah,
well, he's not good enough to be a DJ in a major city like Clemson. He has to play in Anderson.
Yeah, no, they don't let him DJ in Clemson.
Get out! All right, Micah. So what'd you see? What happened?
So first and foremost, I mean, we were depleted at the receiver, which was part of the reason we were so cautious with the football. We had running backs playing slot receiver for like half the game, and we were just throwing like screen passes and stuff. It was just like, bro, what did what's his name? Dirk Cutter take over the offensive play calling?
Bubble screen.
He was calling the plays for Clemson. Overts. Let's go. Like,
he was switching between teams. He caught nothing but screens and halfback guys. For
Dirk
Georgia.
Cutter was watching that game like, oh man, I'm about to bust this play calling.
This is a clinic.
You guys seeing this? You seeing this? It's the players' fault. They're calling an excellent game plan.
Man, this is perfect. What? Why are they producing? They're not executing. This is what I would have called both sides. Exactly what.
Bubble screen was open every time. Four verts, if he would have just hit him, I know he got sacked every time, but four verts was open.
Man, deep post popped open. All he had to do was hold on to the ball for 2 more seconds.
He's literally getting up and they're resetting.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, it was, we were missing. So we played ultra conservative. And I think with them, I think Dabo knows that DJ was very inexperienced. And this is literally the biggest game DJ has ever started. I think last year he started against Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah.
Boston College.
Notre Dame was good, but their defense isn't as athletic as Georgia's is. And Boston College is a decent team. They're not nothing. They're not special or whatever. So this is the best defense that DJ has ever played in his career. And honestly, the way we called that game was defensively was perfect in my opinion. It's exactly one of the things that I love about Bill Belichick and the Patriots defense. And what he does is when he's facing inexperienced quarterbacks, he's gonna blitz the hell out of them. Because he's like, all right, my thing is, whenever you get any obvious passing down, first of all, we're gonna stuff the run. We're gonna hold you, which I think we held. If you counted sacks and all that stuff, I think they had like -2 rushing yards or something.
It was awful.
Yeah. So like we're going to take the run away. We're going to get you in 3rd and long, and then we're going to blitz the hell out of you. We're going to send blitzes from everywhere, and we're going to confuse you. You don't know where the blitz is coming from. And like Kirk Herbstreit was saying, like there were times where he did have like post open and so on and so forth, but we sent so much pressure at him that, like in the words of Sam Darnold, he started seeing ghosts. Like he took his eyes from downfield because he started looking for the pressure. So there were times where he did have potential big plays, and it was just like, nope, rush is coming, and he had to do something. And then I think part of it, I think DJ is trying to become the poised pocket passer, because there were times where it's like he could have scrambled, but it's like he's trying to force.
He's not quick enough though, not for that Georgia defense at least. But he's not quick. But he's not quick like Trevor or Deshaun were.
But like there was specifically a play where he rolled out to the right, and he had the chance. He could have taken off and gotten the first down on foot, but he had to throw it. It was like
he gunned it. Yeah,
forced himself to throw it. And it's like, it's because it's almost like he doesn't want to get too comfortable running, but it's like, bro, sometimes that's the only way that you're going to be able to produce. And like, the biggest thing was Clemson's defense is very good. Those linebackers they have were everywhere. I mean, the fact that like, what's his name? James,
who they're number 47 for them?
No, for us.
Cook. Wait.
James Cook. Yeah. So there were a couple times where James Cook and one of our slot guys, who is an absolute burner, got in the open field, and 47 was running with them.
Yeah, they didn't appear to have any kind of speed on the outside at all. Georgia didn't appear to have any speed,
bruh, and which is crazy because those dudes can run, but that linebacker was
Skalski's a beast,
bruh. He was playing sideline to sideline like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So as well as he played, it ultimately the game came down to a DJ pick six. Chris Smith gets the pick six, which was hilarious because they're trying to put the savage shoulder pads on him, and he's just like, "No, I need oxygen. Let me get oxygen. I can't get back out of defense." So yeah, I mean, I loved it. See, I know a lot of people can't stand those kind of games because they hate defensive matchups. They want to see offense. They want to see points and scores and big touchdowns. But see, me, I am somewhat old school, and I love to see a hard-hitting, physical defensive chess match. It is very, very something I'm very much interested in.
No,
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I will say this, and I want Mike to just respond quickly to it. So the fact that one thing that I always notice about, like, to me, Kirby's akin to Dan Quinn, and that he's like a superb defensive coordinator. Well, I won't even say that about Dan Quinn, but
I was going to say,
recruiting.
Yeah, right. Kirby is amazing at recruiting, and his defenses are always spectacular. But his offense is always just so vanilla and safe. And I know y'all are missing receivers, but there's always this thing about Georgia where it's like when they're clearly the better team, which to me they were, they just can never dominate. They can never dominate teams that they're clearly better than. When it's like, what do you think about that assertion?
I honestly I can understand where you're coming from because I've been frustrated too. Because like receiver, for the talent we get at running back, it's like, bruh, like why don't we ever get better talent at receiver? Because it seems like a lot of the top receiver talent leaves the state of Georgia. But I think we do have talented receivers. The problem is so many of them were banged up. So instead of utilizing like we didn't trust the fourth, fifth, and sixth string guys to do too much. It was like, no, keep it simple, run the ball, simple passes, and don't expect them to make huge plays. If they do, then great. But
with that simple game plan, JT still played like garbage.
Yeah, but I mean,
he had a pretty good line. He was 22 of 30.
Yeah, so I mean, but
what, for like 115 yards or something?
180, but with no wide receivers. Like,
yeah, like I said, we were literally running backs, our third and fourth string running back at slot receiver because we were so banged up at receiver.
Yeah, but I was with you, Marco. I was critical of. I was like, why are they doing this? And then when I looked, I was like, oh, they're literally missing their top 3 wide receivers, their top 2 tight end, or they had their 1 tight end, but missing Darius and
Leonard Washington, the 6'8" tight end.
Yeah,
and it's Clemson. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Clemson. I know both of these teams are going to come out here and smack whoever they're playing next by 40 points. So,
and I will say this: the year that Jameis threw for 30 for 30, his offensive coordinator was Todd Monken, who happens to be our offensive coordinator. So, if we get the talent on the field, I truly trust Todd Monken can call a lot better game plan. But it was just one of those safe game plans to keep from turning the ball over and to keep us in the game because we knew our defense was going to do its job. But it's like, make sure the offense doesn't put the defense in bad position.
I remember when Monken was with the Buccaneers, and people were like, "Oh, the offense is so so great," and Danny was telling me that it's Monken. Monken's the one who's doing this offense. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely a good one. So
meanwhile, Dirk Cutter was like, "It's me. It's really me. It's the 4 verts and the halfback dives. I'm telling you."
I can't wait to see what Georgia actually is when they're fully healthy. Granted, we won't get Pickens at all this season, but when they are at their full health, I'm interested to see if Georgia's just taking that next step. The defense looks lights out. The defense looks excellent, far better than they've looked in the past. Because to get 7 sacks on a Dabo Swinney team, that's hard. Yeah. That's hard because Dabo's offense is get it out quick, get it out quick, get it out quick, get it out quick. So I mean, that's impressive.
Here's the one thing. One more thing I will say. They said it in the game. 7 defensive backs who got significant play time for Georgia last year left, either went to the NFL or just graduated. So to pretty much have an entirely new secondary and just like defensive backfield and to do what they did is crazy.
Yeah.
Linebackers as well. I mean, it was just like, man, like
y'all's linebackers showed out that game.
Oh,
They were
y'all
the star
rotating
of the show.
a lot too. Y'all had a lot of rotations.
They're deep.
Jordan Davis, if we could get him on the Falcons,
Right.
bruh.
You know we don't draft no Georgia players.
Jordan Davis is massive.
Him and Milton, like that running back Milton.
Oh yeah. But Milton's second. He actually might be a true freshman.
Yeah, I know he's gonna be a while for him. Man.
But Jordan Davis, our nose tackle, that might be a Georgia player that the Falcons might draft, and I would love it because dude is absolutely monstrous in the middle of the field.
And like they said when he was walking off the field, it's like he looks like he could go another 7 quarters. He was barely winded. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, so let's move it on down the road and actually to the last game of the week, and that was my Seminoles versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Boo.
We saw them again, and you know, a lot of people are asking me, like, are you excited about this game? Do you have faith? Because, you know, for those of you who don't know, Florida State was once a powerhouse in college football and has kind of fallen off these last couple of years, all thanks to that man named Jimbo Fisher, who just got broke off. And by the way, that's because Ed Ogeron is not doing well in LSU. Texas A&M was like, hey, Jimbo, let's go ahead and get you extended. I know you're not due for a pay raise, but let's get you a little extra money. Let's make it to where you don't want to leave at all. Because Jimbo has said on multiple occasions, if he could get that head coaching job at LSU, that's where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. So I know he said he wanted to go to the oil tycoons out in Texas, but no, he'll go to Baton Rouge in a heartbeat. And he's not loyal. Anyway, he left the cupboards bare here in Florida State, and we've been recovering from that ever since. And we were trying to find our head coach, and it looks like we finally have. But a lot of people ask me, you know, do you have faith? I was like, we're going to compete a lot better. I would not be shocked if we lost, though, because we're not there yet. We've been recruiting. We've been getting the guys that we want, and it's a long road back to compete with teams like this. If you ever fall off, getting back into it is so much harder than maintaining. Maintaining a recruiting cycle keeps you competitive at the very least. You can go 10-3, 9-4 in college football just off of talent alone because you're just going to be bullying people. And that's if you're in like the top 5, top 10 every year. That's what I'm speaking of. But coaching is what takes you from there to that 13-0. That's why Saban and Dabo and all these guys get paid so much money. Anyway, to get to the point, Florida State Notre Dame went down to the wire this past weekend and literally went to overtime. And we showed out and showed heart in a way that we haven't showed in probably 5 years, and fought against a team that is better than us in almost every facet. They had a good quarterback. They've got a great offensive line. They generate pressure. They have probably the best defensive prospect in all of college football, roaming center field, which he showed in this game. And, you know, we're throwing guys out there like Jordan Travis who should not be starting in a really outside of like the FCS. He should not be an FBS quarterback. So we're going to take a while to get back there. But, you know, it was nice to see. It was nice to really see what was going on and see that what the work that we've been doing and the getting rid of the last shell of the Jimbo Fisher era out of there and starting that turnover, to see it take effect. And it was nice, you know.
I mean, the way y'all played, you don't think you can immediately come in and compete in the ACC? I mean, the ACC is hella weak, man.
I think I'm taking everything from week 1 with a grain of salt. But because, you know, there's some teams like last year. If you look back at some of the teams that lost in week 1 last year that we were expected to win, and we're like, oh, they're actually bust. They went and won like 10 in a row after that. Like week 1 is always like the NFL. It's one thing because you're a professional. You do it year round. You do all this. But these are kids. They're still learning football. They're still, you know, learning these complicated systems. And, you know, I don't think we're as good as we thought we were. I think we played up. We certainly did. Our system's better, but we still don't have a great offensive line.
Mhm.
We've got some talent thanks on defense now and some pass rush thanks to transfers and the transfer portal. I forget his name. Jermaine Johnson, that's his name. The guy that we got from UGA showed out, like absolutely showed out. But he was the only one that really showed his like flashes like a star on that defense. Florida State at our prime, we've got two great cornerbacks. We've got a great free safety. We've got a great strong safety. We're stacked at linebacker. And we've got at least two good pass rushers on it. We haven't been that in years though. So, I mean, we were the college football team where you would get the best corners most of the time. Now that's kind of shifted to Bama and UGA. Like, we don't get those guys anymore. So that's what we got to get back into. But I say all that to say our coaching still cost us in this game. There's no reason in this world that down one score that you go for it on 4th and 2 on your own 32 when you have control of momentum at that point. Why would you just literally hand it back to them? We had just gone up 20. No, I'm sorry. We were up when that happened. No, we'd just gone down one score. So what happened was we just went down one score. Our coach panicked. We went for it on 4th and 2, got stuff. They got another touchdown. So now it's a 2-score game. And then we come out, fall flat, and they come down and score again. So now it's 3 scores. In a matter of 4 minutes, the game just changed. So, I don't know. Like, it was one of those up and down games. Like, yeah, it looks good. It looks bad. It looks good. It looks bad. Oh, cool. I'm really hyped up because we got into overtime. And then, of course, a bad coaching decision cost us the game again. So, it hurt.
I will say, though, you mentioned Jermaine Johnson earlier, though. And it's like, think about how crazy that is, how much talent my school has, Georgia has, that we can let somebody like Jermaine Johnson to transfer.
And he was the best defensive lineman on the field on both sides.
Oh yeah, and it was like, yo, bro, were you buried that deep on the depth chart that you decide to transfer to Florida State and then just showed out? It's like, bro, I'm good. It's like,
yeah, that shows you something. That's why he transferred. It's too much talent.
Yeah. But I mean, but I'll tell you, like, going back to what you were talking about with Kirby Smart, one of the frustrating things to me is how much talent we have, but like in certain games, it's just like we fall short. Like, you play Bama, and I know Bama is extremely talented, but it's like, our recruiting class is about the same level as Bama's, but it's like you can tell the difference in coaching, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, we have the talent to match them, but it doesn't. You don't necessarily see it when we face them on the field.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all haven't had the quarterback talent. That's not true because y'all have had 5 stars after 5 star after 5 star the last couple of years. It's just been how they.
He never plays them. He's not even playing the highest ranked quarterback on his team right now. I mean,
Easton was a 5 star and Fromm was a 5 star and.
Well, I think Fromm was a 4.
Was he a 4?
Easton was a 5-star. Fromm
Fields
was a 4-star. Fields was a 5-star.
I think Brock, who was on your bench, was a 5-star, right?
Brock was the number 1 pro style quarterback.
Right, and he's not playing. Like,
well, I would not start. I think JT Daniels was either 4 or 5 stars.
He was a 5-star, I believe.
Yeah.
He was
the top quarterback in California. We think he would have mattered there.
But he was just the best of what y'all had last season. This season, I don't know.
I mean, Brock Vandagriff played single A high school football, and to go from single A high school football to SEC football is a huge jump. So I'm very, very, very much in favor of him just kind of waiting and sitting.
I don't care. I'm gonna question everything Kirby does just because his track record is so poor.
Yeah. Carson, because even Carson Beck is like a 4 or 5 star. And we've got talent. But it's just like, bruh, I think, like, I know I got in an argument with your cousin Bryce about this. Oh, Brock Vandagriff is the best, most talented, and it's like, yeah, but talent is one thing, but I'm like, do you really want a guy coming from single A high school football in Georgia to play Brent Venables in the first game of his college career? Hell no.
Probably not. But I mean, I wouldn't leave that as the only qualifier. I mean, if you can play, you can play. So I mean,
yeah, but there's a big difference in the talent level of what you're going to see in single A, because even single A in like 6A, because the bigger schools have a lot more talent because there's a bigger, larger talent pool to pull from. And
I mean, it just depends who you're playing behind. Like, say he was on Alabama. If he's behind that NFL line, then he'd look great. I don't care how many A's your high school has.
Yeah, but I mean, but no, I'm just saying that's my thing. No, it's just like, in part of the reason Clemson attacked us the way they did is because you have JT Daniels, who has experience. They didn't necessarily. Now, if they had played Brock, they would have blitzed Brock like crazy. They would have blitzed the shit out of Brock. And like watching Brock in the G-Day game, part of the reason he looked bad in the G-Day game because we were doing the tag, tagging your down, and he's sitting there trying to like juke out line. It's like, no, the purpose of the whole thing is to get rid of the ball quickly. Stop trying to evade pass rushers, read the defense, and make decisions quick. And he was trying to hold on to the ball for the big play. And it's like, no, that's like, this is literally going to get you buried on the depth chart. And it did. He's like the third or fourth quarterback now because, like I said, he's always looking for he's looking for the home run. And it's like, bro, just get rid of the football. Make the smart play. Get it out of your hand.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on from college football. Oh, and also this was the first game since the late great Bobby Bowden had passed that we played, so it was kind of cool, and I think that was part of the energy behind this. First big home game at home in a long time. Bobby Bowden just passed, so I need to see more. I need to see more before I judge these Seminoles. I know a lot of the people are like, oh, Florida State's back. A lot of the fans in the groups I'm in, I'm like, oh, pump the brakes. There's a large talent. Yeah, they're like, we're back, baby. Florida State's back. It's like, no, we're not.
It's like 9 wins, probably.
I think our ceiling is 9 wins right now.
I'm scared. I'll say for this Miami game, I'll say I'm scared based on how y'all play.
We've got good running backs, wide receivers. It's still okay, but we need to figure out, like, if he throws Jordan Travis back out there again. I can't see that, but
Bama made it hard for us to see if we have anything good. So I don't know.
Right. So I don't. But also, with the fact that we threw out a guy at the end of the game when Jordan Travis got his helmet knocked off, and we had to stroll out Mackenzie Milton, who was a great quarterback at UCF, but he's also coming back from terrible injuries,
right.
and
he still had a limp in training camp, right?
He still had a limp now in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll ever be healthy. So I'm not comfortable with that.
That's scary. Yeah.
So wait, are y'all is the next game Miami for?
No, we play
it's usually in November
State.
or October. It's usually in October or November.
I can tell you that.
I think isn't it on Nikki's birthday or something?
That'd be crazy if it was. Because I'll be in Florida then. Let's see, schedule. We play Miami. Oh, where'd it go? Miami on November 13th.
13th.
So, yeah, we'll be home for that.
When do y'all play Florida?
When do we play Florida? Last game of the season always. So November 27th.
Okay. I know Bryce is gonna be rocking his Florida gear for that game.
pair of jorts and a gator blue.
Go SEC.
Right, just one of those generic SEC jerseys
with the blue patch and the yellow letter. Like, what is that?
Where'd you get that?
I'm an SEC fan.
Like an old FUBU jersey with an SEC patch.
SEC for life. Like, what?
Oh man. All right, let's look down here and get out of the JV league and moving on up to the pros. Play with the varsity. So the actual football season, I don't want to say the actual, The NFL season starts this Thursday. In 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, we will get real professional football. Even though it's two teams that we absolutely hate, it's still football. It's professional football, and I will be watching. The season kicks off Thursday at 8:20. Yeah, 8:20 p.m. on NBC, where you get the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now, if this were just like the regular Buccaneers, people are like, oh, why is this on there? But it's the Dallas Cowboys versus Tom Brady. Opening
Tom
up the
Brady
season.
versus a Dan Quinn defense.
Man, I'm telling you. People are like, the Cowboys are like, we have so much talent. I'm like, man, you have no idea what's in store for you. What Brady is about to do to this defense that he's figured out years ago.
Oh,
So, we get the Dak is back Cowboys and the defending champion Dallas Cowboys, Brady with his 7th ring, coming out again with the exact same roster on both sides of the ball, which is insane.
A few changes though.
But their starters are all the same. Oh wait, offense. No, yeah, offense they got all 11 back to right. Defense they changed just a little bit, but they're still.
But they also brought in Giovanni Bernard. It's like,
yeah,
what?
Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, and Ronald Jones all out of the backfield, where they're 3 deep at wide receiver, 2 deep at tight end. Like their offensive line is stacked. Like, good luck, Dallas. Anyway,
good luck, Dan Quinn.
Do you think Dan Quinn and I forget his name, the head coach, McCarthy. Yeah, McCarthy. So Dan Quinn and McCarthy, can they upset the defending champions Buccaneers, Marco?
Hey man, anything's possible. Anything's
all right,
possible. KG. I just think it is funny though, like, because I know Micah said that when he was still our coach, but like Dan Quinn is the Mike McCarthy of defense. He's just on the other side. Like,
honestly,
the
change it up.
Mirror images of each other. But I mean, yeah, anything's possible. I expect a game, like a competitive game. But I mean, I think the Bucs will win, but you never know with these Thursday night games.
All right.
Who knows?
Micah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. There's a reason I picked Mike Evans in almost every league that I've been 4 fantasy leagues. I think I had him in 3 of them because I expect Mike Evans to just be. He's going to look like Randy Moss on these cornerbacks. On these Cowboys cornerbacks. It's just cover 3. All right, just run up the seam. All right, we're just gonna attack him up the seam.
I mean, you got
like he did to us.
Him and OJ and AB and Godwin and
who do you pick?
Scotty Miller and Cameron Brate and Giovanni Bernard. Like, what is
matter of fact, I think Bruce Arians will pull a flex move and have Dirk Cutter call the offense for this game because it's like 4 verts. They can't stop it with the cover 3.
I will say though, the health factor is big because they were one of the healthiest teams last year, and you never see teams go 2 years in a row being the healthiest team in the league.
Especially a team that plays deep, and they don't get as much rest. All right, so real quick, Micah, what's your prediction? I want you to give me a score for this game.
45-17.
Wow, you're almost identical to what I'm about to predict. Marco?
I say 28-17.
Bucks,
yeah.
I'm going to go 44-17. That's the number that I had in my head the whole time. So, yeah, I think they're going to absolutely shut Zeke down. They were the number 1 run defense. They're going to get out there and they're just going to challenge those wide receivers to do something against them and just be in Dak's face all game. And I think the Bucs, when they touch the ball, they're going to score.
Is Dak playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't heard that otherwise.
I know, like, all of Hard Knocks in the preseason, he's had like this elbow inflammation that
they've been resting him.
He can't seem to get over. So it's
I will say that for all my number geeks out here, Tom Brady, 2 touchdowns away from his 666th total touchdown of his career.
So you think he's only going to get 2?
I didn't say.
Then he's going to retire?
Yeah, then he's gonna.
Satan.
Mission accomplished.
Tom Brady is Satan.
He literally spontaneously combusts after he throws it. I am the Dark Overlord.
A spirit just flies off the field. Like, what the
feed
hell
on
was
your.
that?
You just see this black image fly off the screen, and people just faint. What? Or he just sinks into the ground.
I knew he was evil. I knew.
All that's left is his 12 jersey. You're like, oh.
That was
Manning.
the craziest thing.
Peyton Manning. I knew he was Satan the whole time.
I knew it. I should have half those rings.
Bill Belichick turns into Darth Sidious at the same time. It's like, I knew they were the Legion of Empire, or the Legion of Doom, or the Evil Empire, whatever that is.
Evil Empire.
All right. So to catch us up on our Falcons, the things we really care about, since we were out last week, the Falcons did cut down to their 53-man roster. We could go by the cuts, but they were pretty by the book. There wasn't anything that really surprised us. Our starters are who we covered and who we said they were going to be. The depth is where we said they were going to be, and we didn't really see.
Wait, repeat. Your starters are what? You went.
They are who we said they were going to be, and the depth was as well. Yeah, I noticed my internet is going kind of crazy here. So if I'm cutting out, just let me know. But nothing really surprising. Not so fast, my friend. The Falcons had something up their sleeve, and they named their 53-man roster. And then, you know what, Quadri? I know a lot of the fans out here are really excited to see you, and you've had a good preseason, and you look good. I know we were holding you out in the preseason because you were going to be a part of our offense. But that Wayne Gallman guy, I think we're going to give him a shot. So have another year on the practice squad, Quadri. It was fun while it lasted, but we'll still keep you around. I don't understand this. I've never seen anything like that. Like, I've seen players that go in the practice squad and then we boot them for other practice squad players. But I've never seen someone make the 53-man roster and then we go, actually, just kidding.
We got too many big bags.
And it's not even like, that happens. That scenario that I just outlined happens, but it doesn't happen that quickly. You don't name them to the 53-man roster and then the next day cut them.
I know that sucks for his ego and his stability as a human. It's like, how you gonna do that to that man?
I did it. I finally did it. Yes.
I'm finally gonna get some reps.
Psych!
I knew it was Dan Quinn holding me back this whole time.
Dirk Cutter said I'd never get running back reps. Screw you, Dirk Cutter. Oh.
I don't
Maybe
understand.
They're trying to pick up Latavius. Are they going to give Latavius a shot?
I guess. We signed Wayne Gallman, who is a Clemson running back. He was pretty good there. He was, but when he went to the Giants, he's a guy that you could probably put in for a game or two and have a decent production out of him. He can receive the ball well. He can probably get you about 70, 80 yards if you feed him enough. And maybe bust out a 100-yard game here and there, but
they're like 3.8 yards per carry.
We pretty much know who Wayne Gallman is. That's the thing. Like, the NFL's seen him, so I don't get it. But
he's a decent complimentary. But Mike Davis is the guy. We knew that. So
yeah, you can find a Wayne Gallman out there, but I guess they think you can find another Quadri. We don't see him in practice, so they do. I'll trust them. I can't bring that up. I told him to be off the record. Never mind. So in other news, Dante Fowler actually changed his number from 56 to 6. I'll let Marco get on that here in a second. And
boom, boom, boom.
Michael Walker changes from 43 to 3. So they just cut the leading numbers off on both of them. And here we are. And Marco loves this.
So in honor of Dante Fowler changing his number to 6, what is y'all's over under at the number 6 for his sacks on the season? I'm
taking the over, baby. He's going. Dante getting about 9 or 10 this season.
Yeah, I say the same.
Over?
Mm-hmm.
I say push.
Push.
Now, here I do have a question about Michael Walker. So, will Michael Walker live up to the shoes of the last number 3 we had here, who happened to be Matt Bryant?
Oh,
Will
No.
he fill the big shoes of money Matt Bryant?
Nah, man.
no, not
Koo's
that
too
way.
busy. Koo's
Yeah.
too busy doing that himself.
But I mean, just making his own legacy. Because I mean,
Oh, well, yeah.
like you know, Matt Bryant made so many clutch kicks for us, and you know, he was a big part of our success for close to a decade. So, you know, will Michael Walker be impactful, even somewhat in like close to that impact?
Oh, hell yeah. Michael Walker has a ton of talent, and I think he's going to be someone really good for this defense. It honestly kind of scares me that he might be the reason that we don't re-sign Foye, even though we love him. We have someone behind him that's cheap, and we can extend him, you know, beyond. So I hope we keep Foye.
Yeah.
But Michael Walker, you know, having 3 linebackers in this day and age isn't it? No one really plays the 4-3 like that anymore, and no one really has 3 linebackers on the field that often.
Dean Pease, though, something about his defense is they don't value edge rushers as much, but they value interior linebackers. Plus, interior linebackers are a lot cheaper than edge rushers. So.
I would like to keep all 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
But we'll
I
see.
mean, I think if any of them, I mean, especially with Foye coming on a contract, if he performs very well, then it's likely he'll go somewhere else because we won't be able to pay him.
I'll ask him not to, politely.
Please.
Sir, can you
bring back
please
Rondo?
Can you please stay with this team? Please? That's all I can offer you. My gratefulness.
We'll see if we can get your autographed jersey by Rondo.
Speaking of other things I'm grateful for.
Rondo Hawks jersey.
You'd be like, what is this trash? He didn't play here. So the Falcons actually start their season this Sunday at 1 p.m. against the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is becoming a tradition for this team. We've started with the Eagles quite a few times. We've ended with the Eagles quite a few times. It's kind of like a rivalry light at this point. I think Hugh Douglas has a big part in driving this as well because he's one of the Atlanta radio hosts here in the morning. He is a Eagles Ring of Honor player, and he kind of sparks that I don't want to call it, like, again, the rivalry light. He does a good job of pushing that and driving both sides of it. So I like it. And we're 2 birds. Anyway, so hard matchup for us coming up for us. This is always a team that gives us problems. They are strong in areas that we are not typically, and they typically are the bigger, stronger, bully of the matchup. We typically have a little more skill than they do in the areas that count, but they've had the better coaching and the better trenches throughout these matchups. So that's why it's always been a good matchup, because it's been a team that builds a team a certain way versus a team that builds it a complete opposite, and it's a fun matchup to watch. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the matchup. We're going to look at some of the strengths that we have in this matchup, some of the weaknesses that we'll have, and then we're going to do our score predictions for this, and then get out of here and take a break real quick before we get into other things. So the Eagles, again, are a big team on both sides of the ball, on the lines I'm talking about. And they typically like to build their teams that way, and they like to bully teams in the trenches. They build their teams from the trenches out, where in the past couple of years, the Falcons have built outside in. And if you look at the history of the NFL, teams that build outside in typically aren't as successful as the teams that build inside out, which is why the Eagles have a Super Bowl in the recent years and we don't, versus a team that beat us. So we'll start there, and we'll look at some key matchups, and we'll talk about some strengths that we may have. And Micah, I want you to talk about first an area that we don't have. I'm going to switch this up. An area that we don't have the advantage, and where you think that can lead us. And that's their D line versus our offensive line and some key matchups to look for there.
All right. So one of their strengths is still depth at defensive line. They very, very strong. Like they've strongly believed in building from the front to the back, and they've done that for years. Now, granted, they've made some moves to kind of free some cap, get some guys who were higher paid out of there because they did overpay a few guys in the past. But one of the problems we're going to have to deal with is Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox is an absolute beast. He's a monster of a D tackle. He's one of the most talented D tackles in the league. And unfortunately, now granted, Jalen Mayfield, why it's slated to start at left guard, but we still kind of have some questions as far as solidifying both that center and that left guard spot. And when you have to play a guy who's as special as Fletcher Cox is, it's like, bruh, you can't be iffy there at all. You have to know, you have to be solid. Otherwise, Fletcher Cox can live in your backfield and destroy run game. And interior pressure is the worst pressure you can give up because it's the quickest way to get to a quarterback. So, if you want Matt Ryan to get happy feet on you, allow Fletcher to get penetration. They're also deep in pass rusher. Between Brandon Graham, who's getting up there, who's getting long in the tooth, but he's still a solid pass rusher. You got Ryan Kerrigan, who's a good pass rusher. Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat, who are both good young pass rushers. So our tackles will be tested this game.
I think we'll be tested across the board, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as I already talked about Fletcher Cox and the interior pressure, but I'm not worried about Lindstrom. Lindstrom is the one I'm not worried about. Like he can handle whoever he's going up against. But it's really the can Jake and
Caleb
Sloth, Caleb McGarry Sloth. Can they hold up on the edge against these big and athletic? Because not only are they athletic, they're big guys too. They kind of like Cameron Jordan light a little bit.
Yeah, I mean Brandon Graham's 6'2", 265. He's one of the stronger defensive ends.
Exactly. Like they're both physical and they have some finesse moves as well. So they will be tested. So it could be a long day for Matt Ryan in the passing game, or the offensive line is we start to see the influence, Arthur Smith's influence on the offensive line, and we hold up. So, but it could very well against this defensive line be a long day against this pass rush.
All right, so Mike, I'm gonna stick with you on this one, and I think it's another area where we don't have the advantage, and that's going to be their right side of their offensive line versus our front, really, because just depends on how they use it.
Yeah. Man. So yeah, they're now granted they've had a lot of turnover on their offensive line as well. A lot of money was invested in there over the years, and a lot of those guys got old and injured, i.e. But I forgot their left tackle for
Jason Peters.
Yeah, Jason Peters, who was a staple of their offensive line for a decade. And, he was banged up a lot, so they wound up moving him. But so they're right from center over to the right tackle. You have Jason Kels. Yes, I've heard him as Kels. Brandon Brooks, who's a solid right guard, and then Lane Johnson, who arguably who is a top 2 to 3 right tackle in the league. So, um, as far as we've had problems with pass rush in the past. Now, Dean Pease is a much better schemer than what we've had in the past. But the question is, how will our pass rush be able to get after the quarterback, pressure Jalen Hurts and force some mistakes against this right side of from the right side of his line? I mean, that's the thing. We might get blindside pressure, but can we collapse the pocket on him? That's the question. Will we be good enough to collapse the pocket on him and potentially get him to force him make some mistakes? So,
my opinion is yes, we will, but I still think they have the advantage. Yeah. I think they'll win those matchups pretty consistently because they got 3 Pro Bowlers from center over.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jason Peters was healthy and they had a decent left guard, this was the best offensive line in the league. Granted, they are like you said, getting longer in the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the areas that we think that they have the distinct advantage in. And if they win those, it's going to be a long day for Matt Ryan and the Falcons. So those are areas that we're going to have to at least make a push against. Now, we're going to cover 3 areas that we think we have the advantage in. And this kind of goes in line with what I was referring to earlier about with how we built our team versus how they built their team. And it's no coincidence that they have the advantage in those areas. So now we get to an area where we think we have the advantage. And Marco, I want you to talk about our corners versus their receivers and how you think we will have the advantage there.
Well, just judging, I know it's hard to base it off last year because last year was sort of a catastrophe of a season for them, but they were definitely in the bottom quarter of the league in terms of passing yards. And, I know Jalen didn't get to start every single game, but I know to me, he's not really a threat to, an accurate kind of quarterback. So not to say he can't do that, but then at the same time, you got to realize our cornerbacks were also the worst in the league. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see who gets that edge. But I think that one might end up being, I think you favor the team who's better at it, right? And we're talking about their cornerbacks versus our receivers. What are we talking about? Our cornerbacks versus their receivers, right? So I think that it'll sort of be closer to like a net zero in that sense, where maybe our cornerbacks don't completely shut them down, but in terms of explosive plays, I think that we can keep that under control. In terms of first downs, or maybe third down conversions with, third and longs, I think we can manage that reasonably well. So I don't, it's going to be up to containing Jalen Hurts and his legs more than, his arm, in my opinion, in those long and distance type of plays or downs.
I get what you're saying. And I do think that Jalen Hurts being if this were our secondary, which you mentioned, we had the worst pass offense in the league last year. Pass defense versus them, who were absolutely decimated by injury, but also just a lot of the guys they drafted, like Jalen Reagor, didn't live up to the hype when they were on the field. And, you've got Devontae Smith, who's a smaller wide receiver, and a lot of people have they're believing the hype about him. Like, granted, he won the Heisman last year as a wide receiver and put up gaudy stats. And that was even when Jalen Waddle went down. So a lot of people think he's going to come in and do the same thing in the NFL, but there's very, very, very few wide receivers that come in that are small and small of frame and do well in the NFL unless they're just elite. And, people will point to someone like Chad Johnson and be like, well, he was never big, but he was bigger than Devontae Smith. Like
not only that, but then the quarterback who's throwing it to him is also not really looked at as like an accurate, I'm going to find my guy, with the accurate deep ball. I mean, he's never been that. So
Right.
for a guy who made his bones on outrunning receivers in college and catching deep balls, he's not going to be able to do what he's best at immediately, at least. So, he's going to have to find his place, and as a small back, I think we can take advantage of that with our secondary.
Well,
I mean, as a
I
small
think our
receiver.
length in the secondary is definitely going to help.
Well, nah, here's the thing though. Here's the crazy thing about it. So outside of JJ Arcega-Whiteside, their biggest receiver, like Arcega-Whiteside is what 6'2", 225. Their biggest receiver is 6'1", 197. So they're extremely undersized. Meanwhile, we have a bunch of 6'1", 6'2", 6'1", 6'2" corners who are 200 pounds plus, and all of them like with long arms and can play physical. So I think potentially if you can get into these guys, if our secondary can get into these guys, we can legitimately bully and force Jalen to have to run around in circles trying to buy time for somebody to get open and stuff. So,
and I mean, that's what Dean Pease does. He presses on the outside and blitzes up the middle. So I mean, he wants you to do that. All right, so moving on to the next, where I think we have an advantage, and let's go with you, Micah. Let's go with our linebackers versus their backfield / tight end core.
All right, so here's the thing. Miles Sanders, I like Miles Sanders. He's a very shifty, elusive back, but he's small. And Boston Scott's similar. Zach Ertz is long in the tooth. Zach Ertz is a solid tight end, but you started to see the regression because of his age. He's not quite as athletically gifted as he was early on. Dallas Goedert is a good tight end though. However, because of like speed and stuff is not something that our current linebacker core has to deal with. I mean, or hurts us, because I mean, how many times have we seen Debo just run with elite tight ends like it's nothing? Shoot, I remember when we played the Rams a few years ago in the playoffs, Debo's running with Cooper Kupp in the end zone, and it's just like, yo, we got a middle linebacker who can cover a slot receiver. So between Debo, Foye, I'm not as worried about Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert in the passing game.
Michael Walker too. He's a hell of a cover guy.
Exactly. And then Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. A lot of what they do is make people miss and get outside, make people miss, and they can turn a toss play into a home run in like quickly. Well, I'm not as worried about that with our linebacker core, because we're physical enough and fast enough where they can't just outrun everybody to the edge. I mean, that's simple as that.
And that's not going to be the weakness in a 3-4 either.
Yeah.
That outside edge is not just there for you.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to the last thing here where I think we have the advantage, and that's where I've kind of hinted at this earlier, and we were talking about these position groups, and that's our receiving core versus their secondary and their backers. And this is the reason that I'm saying receiving core, not just wide receivers, but tight ends, so that we have Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts included in this group as well, and really Cordero Patterson, if we're being honest, because he's not going to be used. At least I think that Cordero Patterson is going to be used mainly as a matchup nightmare when you move him out of the backfield, or just have him run out of the backfield and force linebackers to cover him. Because he's a 6'2", 225 wide receiver playing running back. He's a return specialist, but he's a wide receiver at heart. So, you'll have the matchups on the outside where you've got, what's his name? I always forget his name. Darius Slay, who is one of the best, most underrated cornerbacks in the league. He is elite man coverage, elite zone coverage, lockdown type of cornerback out there covering Ridley. He's probably going to follow Ridley wherever he goes. And then Gage is going to get matched up with Steven Nelson, who I think Steven Nelson has the advantage there. Darius and Ridley, probably a push. Both will win on that, and you're going to see a lot of back and forth there. But when you really kick it inside, where you now have Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst versus either their nickel cornerback, which is a distinct advantage for us just because of height and size. And as Mike and I were talking about before the show, their nickel cornerback's about 5'8", I believe. And it got about 100 pounds, or our tight ends have about 100 pounds on the anybody there. So then you also have Pitts and Hurst versus their linebackers, which is the reason we have these two guys. There's not really a linebacker in the NFL save like Levante David or
Devin White.
Yeah, Devin, I don't think. He's not quite big enough. He's a good cover guy, but I don't think speed-wise he'll be able to keep up with him. But height, he doesn't have that combination. So this is the reason we have these guys, and I think this is where we're going to see a distinct advantage, and you're also going to see really Arthur Smith and his genius pop out here, and we're going to win that matchup most of the game. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be the thing that pushes us over the top, but we'll get to that here in a second, and I'm stoked to see those two guys be used in all types of ways this season. This will just be the first game of it. So with that being said, let's get down to our predictions for this game, and we're actually going to put score predictions along with this as well, and we're going to get out of here on the break. So, Michael, how do you think this game is going to turn out this Sunday where the Eagles come to town?
I say it's a lot of inexperience in coaching, and so it's going to wind up being 28-17 Falcons.
28-17 Falcons. All right. Marco, what you got?
I want to be the pessimist, but I genuinely think the Eagles are going to have trouble scoring this season. So I think 31-20, let's say.
20.
Falcon.
I'm going to go a little more in tune with how these games have looked in the past. I'm going to put a lot closer and a little more low scoring. I'm going to go 21-17 Falcons. So I think we finally turn it around and break that. And we get a late touchdown.
Well, we beat them last time we played them.
Did we?
The Julio screen for.
Oh yeah, the Dirk Cutter Julio screen.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
I mean, but no. Here's the one thing. The only reason I say a bigger difference than that, because even though we had like Arthur Smith is the first time head coach. Literally, their entire coaching staff is pretty much first time at their positions. So they got a lot of young, awkward looking guys, like guys in their like late 20s, early 30s almost. So it's just one of those things. It's like a lot of guys from the former Colt staff who were like, assistants and, guys from the Colt staff that are now getting their first opportunity to coach in the NFL. So I think they'll make more mistakes than we will, but I think Arthur Smith will start to have to, figure this whole head coaching thing out though.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't say anything untrue, but all right, let's get out of here. Let's take a quick break. And on the other side, we're going to cover some baseball and some basketball news just in general. So we will be back in a little bit. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you on the other side.
that come out your mouth.
Oh man, welcome back from the break. We just got some interesting news here. I wish we were leading off with basketball because that would have been perfect. But
Sure, we can lead off with basketball. Who cares? Let's bring that on. Let's keep the discussion going.
Man, oh man. So we'll switch it up today and come in with the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint. And during the break, I was just entertaining my colleagues with a little trending NBA news. And so apparently Sixers president Daryl Morey, obviously of Houston fame, says he wants either Stephen Curry or Klay Thompson in exchange for Ben Simmons.
Bro.
Remind me, what has Ben Simmons done?
Put the pipe down, bro. Like, what do you?
Hold on, bro. But see, this is why all these analytics screw. Like, bro, you can't put. This is why I don't trust analytics, because analytically speaking, Ben Simmons is a very good player, but
any fan knows and sees.
Anybody, he doesn't pass that eye test. Let's just say he doesn't pass that eye test. Dude can't shoot anything other than a layup. And it was to the point where he was so scared to shoot free throws that he was passing up layups against us.
But listen to this. This is what they'd be willing to give up for Steph Curry alone. They didn't mention what they'd give up for Klay. They'd give up Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Tyrese Maxey, and 2 Sixers first-round picks.
No, I never would take that deal.
Golly, that's a haul.
It just be Steph and Embiid out there.
Embiid, that's it. We'll give you half of our team and 2 picks for Steph Curry.
but I mean, even still, like, you know, Golden State.
If you're Steph, you're like, why would you trade my brother? Like, I want to come play with him.
Well, those two have said, Seth has said he never wants to play with Steph.
Oh, really?
Again? Yeah. You don't want to play with him again?
What do you mean again? When you mean when he was on the G League team?
Well, I mean, he was technically on Golden State, though, but
that's a strong technically.
Seth's like, pass me the ball, you bum. You're trash.
I guess they figure since Steph can lead a team of G Leaguers to a 7 seed, him and Embiid, that's a championship.
but I mean, I don't know. I just nobody in that trade was appealing to me outside of Steph.
Tobias,
Tobias okay, but I mean,
I know, but if you're throwing him in with the 7 other players that you're getting,
I mean, if Curry's first tier, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's second tier. Third tier is Tobias. Yeah, Tobias is definitely.
And then you got Tyrese Maxey, who's fast but doesn't do anything other than run fast well. So it's just like...
dribble aggressively. He'd be
a really good wide receiver.
Right, he would. He stops really hard. Like he could change directions like nobody business.
Then once he gets the ball, he's like,
long 3. I was like, what? Maybe I'll hit some of these. He did win 1 game for them in the playoffs, so I'll never forget.
Like legitimately, I could see them doing that trade and Golden State actually getting worse. Like, we lost to Steph Curry.
Nah, man, that's just ridiculous. I just had to say that because of how ridiculous it was. But moving on. So into the thick of our, we're just going to run through these.
Into the thick of it.
Not a lot of NBA stuff to talk about, so we can just go through this stuff. Grizzlies have retired Zebo and Tony Allen's numbers, and that's probably the first jerseys they've retired. Unlike Minnesota up there, who doesn't want to retire anybody's jerseys.
Nobody.
they like Fred Hoiberg. Who was the one person they retired? I forget who it was.
Let's see.
Oh man, I can see it'd be like Wally Zerbiak
and KG.
That is the first 2 that the Grizzlies have retired.
Okay,
let's see, and I'll tell you who you want. Who are we looking for? The Milwaukee,
the Timberwolves,
the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Tom Gugliotta.
They've retired. Whoa, You'll never
Skip
guess
Bayless.
that.
Was it Skip? I mean, what's his name? Flip.
Yeah, Flip is one,
Up Saunders, yeah.
and
And
then
then
you'll never guess the other one. Malik Sealy.
who?
Wow, Sealy.
Yeah.
Sprewell is better than Sealy.
Yeah, but I think it's because Sealy died at 30 tragically.
Oh yeah.
How you gonna? I mean, because both of them have passed. Flip and
Right.
Sealy passed.
Yeah,
You gotta die.
that's probably the only reason they retired.
You gotta die to
It's
get
a
in
die. To get in the Raptors in Minnesota.
We will not give you your flowers while you're still living. You have to die first.
They're gonna retire Prince's number before they retire an actual player's jersey.
They put a jersey in the Raptors with the Prince emblem.
KD's like, see, this is what I put up with. Now y'all understand. So
like, they're gonna have Kevin Garnett's number like unveiling, like it drops the banner on it, linked to his life support, and as soon as it flatlines, it can be like boom.
Drop the things like KG, a legend in his own right. Like what? So anyway, real quick, what was y'all's memories of Zebo and Tony Allen as players?
Boy, like two of the toughest, like just played basketball the right way. Like I'm gonna beat you up on the court and just outplay my physical abilities with my effort type of players. And I love guys like that on the basketball court because that's what I had to do. Like to be good, I'm fit athletically. I'm not in the class of the people I could play with. Like not even close. Like now I'm trash because both my shoulders are shot and I'm old and fat. But my ankles are done. Like ankles and shoulders done.
No ankles.
So those are the type of guys I like. So I'm like, yeah, I like them. And Zebo was just one of those guys. I mean, granted, Zebo was very talented. That's not to take anything away from him.
Oh yeah.
Tony Allen was also very talented, but not in the ways that traditional like superstars in the NBA are. Like they weren't offensive connoisseurs or like threats. Like Zebo could get you down in the paint and get some mid range on you, but it wasn't pretty.
A little shake. Oh, then fade away.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, just their tenacity. That's my memory.
I absolutely loved Zebo. Zebo was always one of my favorite power forwards in the league. He was so physical, and like he was the guy who physically, like Brian said, nothing was special. There was nothing special about him physically. He was big. He was, he looked kind of out of shape compared to everybody else because he never was like toned and stuff. But like, bro, that he had a nasty little baseline spin that he used to kill folks with.
Mm-hmm.
He was a lefty. Man, it was I love Zebo's game. He was tough, like you said. Nothing special about him, but he could play with the best of them. Tony Allen. Oh, I love his defensive tenacity, but offense, he was self-check. Dude was absolutely self-check on offense. Like,
he could hit a three every now and then.
Yeah, later on.
Like I saw it was the highlight reel of him. Literally every single play on the highlight reel was defense.
That's what he did.
First team on defense.
And like honestly, probably the last real lockdown perimeter player that I remember in the NBA.
Yeah. Because once he phased out of the league, it was defense became like
him and Ron Artest. I'll give Ron Artest that too.
I would say, if I'm being honest, I think Tony Allen was a better defender than Ron Artest.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but in terms of the last guys like that,
Ron Artest was just super physical. He was big and strong and super physical. But,
right, 6'6", he'd get all up on you.
Yeah, like Tony Allen was only 6'4", and he could guard dudes like literally bigger, like 4 or 5 inches taller than him, and he'd be like in their grill ripping them, and it's like, bro, this dude is tough. Like I said, offensively self-check, but defensively one of the best on-ball defenders that probably in the last 20 years. one of the best I've seen in the past 20 years.
Yeah, so everything y'all said, I agree with. In addition, I'll add when I played NBA Live, I would always use Zebo, and I'd be able to like hit those little jumpers all around the basket. It was like money. But when I got to 2K, I couldn't use him at all. Like, I would miss all kinds of shots because he's not athletic. He couldn't be jamming it on people. And Tony Allen, I just remember him missing layups all the time in video games.
Who was it? Beat I 8 out or whatever his name is on Instagram.
Yeah,
he did the player impressions. He did the one of Tony Allen, and it was like first team on defense. He just pop up out of nowhere. It's like first team on defense. Then offense, but on defense is like, man, you self check. Shooting it out the top of the backboard, like, oh man.
Yeah, beat up. Shout out to beat up. I went to high school with that guy.
Yeah.
So moving on. The Knicks last week agreed to extend Julius Randle. He has got $106 million guaranteed. Isn't that less than John Collins?
How much was it?
It wasn't.
What was
he already had some years on his deal still.
Okay, so it's adding up. So he gets $106 million guaranteed, and he can earn $10.6 million in bonuses, probably for all NBA teams or all stars and things like that. The team had this to say. They said, Julius Randle embodies everything you want and your star player and leader to be about. We couldn't be happier about the long-term commitment we made to each other. Leon Rose said, who's the Knicks president. His hard work and dedication to his craft are second to none, and what he did last season won't be forgotten by New Yorkers anytime soon. I know Atlanta fans won't forget either. So my question is,
you turned into Tony Allen in the playoffs.
Honestly.
Oh man.
My question is Julius Randle the kind of player that you can build around and have a successful franchise?
Is this a serious question?
Take it any way you want to take it.
Like, here's the thing, and I tried to give Julius Randle his credit because Marco was always taking jabs at Julius Randle. Oh God. And I'm like, all right, I said Julius Randle will put up good numbers for the Knicks. Now, granted, I mean, he won MIP, the most improved player. But it's just like, bro, the Knicks are what I hate about today's basketball. It's the fact that this team, who is so lacking in talent, where Julius Randle is your number one player, is the number one defense in the NBA. It lets you know how little the NBA, like, defense is actually valued in the NBA. Because it's like, bro, the Julius Randle is probably the 15th, 16th best power forward in the league.
No, that's harsh. I would have to look at a list, but that's harsh, man. Damn.
And he's their best player. And they had the number one defense in the league.
I mean, you know how Coach Tibbs going to make his squad play every single minute. So.
Yeah, they overachieved, and it's like, but bruh, like, teams with more talent, like, legitimately, like the Clippers, all those defensive stoppers the Clippers had, and they weren't even close to the number one defense.
Yeah.
Like you literally had Pat Bev, you had Kawhi, who's a defensive stopper, you had Paul George.
I think they were top 6, top 7 though.
What the hell?
Yeah, but they got beat up by the Knicks.
So I'm looking at this, and you're gonna have to take it as it is. Let's see if I can find a better list, because that was based on PER, and it had Derrick Rose listed as one of the people, and I'm pretty sure he's not a power forward. Pretty sure.
Is it NBA.com?
No, that was ESPN's stats.
I mean, sure, right. with that.
So here we go.
Knicks roster. Okay, go ahead.
So number 10 comes in John Collins, then Tobias Harris at 9, Jeremy Grant at 8, Domantas Sabonis at 7,
Damn.
Julius Randle at 6, Zion at 5, Draymond at 4, AD at 3, Giannis at 2, Kevin Durant at 1.
Kevin Durant is a power forward.
Yeah, technically
Yeah,
now.
well, I guess, yeah, according to their lineup. Of that list, the only person that I take him before is probably Draymond now, and that's just because where Draymond is in his career. I'd probably
Draymond is a top 4 power forward in the league. Come on.
Well, PER.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just PER.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem with the analytics is because Draymond doesn't take bad shots because he doesn't shoot.
Doesn't take shots.
And,
I mean, he knows his role.
Yeah, yeah.
Draymond's a great basketball player.
Blow game-winning layups. That's his role.
That was so bad too.
But I mean, like I said, it's the same thing with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is his PER is so high because he doesn't take bad shots. Because if he can't dunk it or finger roll it, he ain't shooting.
Even if he can dunk it, he's gonna pass it.
Well, when the game's on the line, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. Get out of my hands. Yeah. So I think of that list.
Ooh, wow! This one has Julius at 3.
And what is that in PER?
No, this is just ranking.
Is it a New Yorker who made that list?
What's the 1 to 10 on that list?
Is it
Giannis 1, KD 2, Julius 3, Zion 4, Draymond 5, Demonis 6, AD 7.
Damn.
Tobias 8, Pascal 9, and then John Collins at 10.
Is it Michael Rappaport or Stephen A. Smith that made that list? One of the two. One of actually Max Kellerman might have made that list.
It's Kyle O'Connell of Primetime Sports Talk.
In terms of value, I'll say Draymond's more valuable than Julius Randle, but I'd say that Julius Randle is better than like Pascal Siakam. For sure.
I'd take Pascal over Julius Randle.
After that playoff flame, it's hard to not pick anybody over. If I pick like anybody over Julius Randle, the way he played in that playoff.
The only thing I will say with Siakam is I think they wanted him to be Kawhi, and it's like that's not his game.
They wanted him to be like Giannis or something. Right? They wanted to be anything but Pascal.
But yeah, it's like they got him out of the 3-point line. They want him like with the ball in his hand all the time, and it's like, bro, that's just let him be what he is. Don't try to put a square peg in a round hole. I mean, yeah.
But we spent too much time talking about Julius Randle. Ryan, what do you think? You build a team around him?
It defines on your barometer for success. If making the playoffs and being competitive in the playoffs is your barometer, then yeah.
So first five games in the first round's competitive.
I mean, I think he'll be better. I think he'll be better next year. I think we got a little lucky with the way Julius was so off. I don't think he's as bad as he showed. You don't do that in the regular season. Just do this, and I mean, he was missing. I
was looking at Steve Smith in the playoffs, and I was like, "Damn, this dude never showed up in the playoffs." Some players just don't have it.
True. That is true.
Some players just don't have playoffs.
But he was missing wide open shots, open shots. So
yeah, but
hold on. I think you can build a successful team around him, and he'll be
number
better.
one. As your number one guy.
Ooh. Yeah, but you'd have to have a really strong number 2.
But if you got a strong number 2, would he technically be the number 1?
Right, like who would if Zach LaVine were on that team, right? Zach LaVine's
a number 1.
Though. If Bradley Beal's on that team, Bradley Beal's
a number 1. But Bradley Beal, both of those guys
DeRozan?
are.
DeMar
DeRozan's a number 2. Yeah, DeRozan.
DeRozan
and him
right?
could work. Yeah, for sure.
That would work.
Oh God, I take what's his name, Derrick Rose with the bad knees over DeMar DeRozan.
but then Julius Randle and Chris Middleton, that probably wouldn't work.
No, just because they're too close in play style. What they want to do.
Right, like dribble, pull up.
Yeah, you would need. Who's another good number 2? Yeah, I don't know. I'll chime in later.
Kyle Kuzma.
I wanted to say Kyle Lowry, but he's a little past his prime.
What about Clay?
I mean, obviously, anybody with Clay's
Yeah, Clay's just one of those that's like, I'm a good basketball player. I'll work anywhere.
Yeah, he'll make any team better.
What about bringing Draymond in or Ben
to play with Julius Randle
or
That
Ben,
shit.
Ben Simmons? Make Ben Simmons the
Simmons
number
and
two.
Julius Randle. He'll like drop to the back. To Julius behind the backboard, who will do a turnaround air ball. It's like, whoa, teamwork.
Honestly, but what about CJ McCollum? If you could get CJ McCollum, you think that would be a good fit?
Yeah, that'd be a
For
good number
sure.
two for him.
Like a 2-guard like DeRozan or CJ would definitely.
I agree.
Work. Oh, by the way,
so moving on.
If I cut out randomly, there's a really bad lightning storm outside right now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here.
Okay, we'll skip this this Jackson Hayes story and for brevity. But it was quite, and he got beat down by some cops, and the cop tased him in his heart area, which you're not supposed to do. But I mean, Jackson Hayes was sort of struggling to begin with, and when he said "I can't breathe," the cop did get off his neck, and the moral of that story is, and then it was a domestic dispute issue, but his girlfriend's sister or cousin is the one who called the cops on them. So just stay out of trouble, young kids, and don't ever get to being physical with women. Just leave. Just leave. So on the 28th of last month, the NBA announced that the refs will be required to be vaccinated unless having a religious or health exemption. They also agreed to take any booster shots that come along during this time. So, and then in addition to that, like we just said earlier, the NBA is also looking forward to, they're saying that hopefully by the next season, if you are vaccinated, you will no longer need to be tested for COVID. So I want to ask y'all, first about the refs, is this a positive move for the NBA? And do you think it's fair that it's just the referees that are being required to get mandatory vaccines?
So is it a good sign? Yeah. I think all these major sports bodies need to have everyone involved vaccinated. It's it's a requirement. What was the second part of that? Oh, is it fair?
That it's just the referees who have to be mandatorily vaccinated.
I mean, it's a first step. I think you're gonna see it roll out. So I don't want to judge the fairness on that. I think if you're gonna work for the NBA or be affiliated with the NBA, you're gonna have to be vaccinated.
Micah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good thing. Like you said, I believe the more people to get vaccinated, the better. Is it fair? Yeah. Honestly, I believe the refs travel more than the players do, because you might work a game, like the players only play 82 games, but the ref like every night of the week. So it's like, they can, especially the good ones, they'll travel, like, they might be doing the San Antonio Spurs game one day, then fly out to LA the next night for the Lakers game, and so on and so forth. So you're gonna come in contact with a lot more people than even the athletes do. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. Now, granted, I think the players, they should push the players to do it more as well, but I definitely understand why they push the refs. They're really pushing the refs to get vaccinated, because the last thing you want is a referee getting sick and then having that close of contact with the actual talent. So
no, that's a great point about that. The fact that there's a lot less of them, and they're a lot more spread out, so that they have more chances of infecting anybody than any player on any given night. Mm-hmm. That's a great point. And then the other question is, do you think it is wise for them to assume that they're not going to have to test vaccinated players anymore going forward?
No.
No.
It's just common knowledge. Like, you're vaccinated. Cool. Like, thanks to all the events that led up to this. Vaccines it doesn't hold nearly the weight that it used to. Like, it helps with you not dying, but as far as being able to spread it, like, not a thing anymore.
Yeah, your symptoms might not be as strong, but you can still pass it, and you're a danger to people who aren't vaccinated. So, yeah, I mean that's kind of stupid in my opinion, but it is what it is.
It's almost like I said this earlier. It's almost like, and I know the NBA's sort of been leading. They've almost led the world in the way that this the virus has, because they started with the world shutting down. They were pretty much the first incident of that led to all of that. And then now I'm almost wondering if they're trying to like sort of normalize this thing and be
they
like,
were the first sport back too.
Right. They were the first sport back, and so I'm wondering if they're trying to sort of normalize it. This is like the new cold. And, because like you said, they are still a risk to unvaccinated players if they're just going to not test anybody who's vaccinated. You know what I mean? So then if the unvaccinated players get it, how do they know where it came from? So I don't know. It's an interesting thing to read that they're hopeful for that, but right. It is what it is. Moving on, the Cleveland Cavaliers have acquired forward Lauri Markkanen in a sign and trade agreement with Chicago. The young three-point shooter, he broke the rookie record for three-pointers made, but since then he hasn't done much. They got in return, so Larry Nance Jr. has gone to Portland, and the Bulls received forward Derek Jones Jr. from Portland. Out of these three teams, who do you think got the best player?
Cleveland going to Lauri. Getting Lauri. And even though it's a terrible situation there, Lauri Markkanen is by far the best player in that deal, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I'll echo that because Larry Nance, he's just a athletic forward at this point. Mm-hmm. He's nothing special. Markkanen, I think, still can be what we saw out of him his rookie year. Maybe it'll help him sitting behind Love. Is Love even still there on a contract?
Love refused to be bought out. They were going to try to buy him out, but he refused.
I thought he didn't want to be part of that team. He refused to play, throwing balls at people.
The money.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, if I go anywhere else, I'm getting pennies compared to this.
Right. He's not trying to title chase. He has his title. He's cool.
Right. I'd rather just not play, take up space on the bench.
Right, because everyone thought he was going to try to go to Golden State, but
yeah,
that'd be a good fit. He's hurt.
It would.
He can just say he's perpetually hurt. like
I'm a suit model now.
We can't find anything that's wrong with you. Yeah, man. I just my leg,
my leg, my ego.
He's got that Banana Republic deal too, so he's making good money.
He got all the suits he needs to rock on the sideline. Yeah, like you said, both of y'all said, Lauri's definitely the most talented out of this. I think Portland with Larry Nance Jr., I think he's sort of been in a depressed mode being in Cleveland. I think being in that Portland system, assuming Dame stays there, because there's still a chance that they move him. I think that he could sort of help them with their interior defensive presence a little bit, because that's like Portland is a laughable. It's almost, I can't watch Portland games because of how bad they are at defense.
Man, terrible.
Yeah, and hopefully anything will help me. And Derek Jones, he's sort of underwhelming as hell. Moving on. So Earl the Pearl Monroe, New York legend. He's sticking to his New York roots, and he recently opened a nonprofit high school, which will temporarily be in Pelham Bay area of the Bronx, but Pelham Bay of the Bronx, and the permanent location is set to be in Mott Haven in 2024. The student body will be comprised of 100% children of color, surrounded by a team of academic leadership support, including nurses, in-house social, emotional health professionals, mentors, college and career counselors. It says there will be 2 teachers per class in 18 to 20 student classrooms. Each student will have the ability to choose basketball-related studies. 6 full-time academic departments with overreaching focuses for each. There's I need to go back to school. Entrepreneurial business, science and kinesiology, sports journalism, computer science, language, and mathematics. So my question for y'all, I guess, Ryan, since you're not a child of color, you couldn't have gone anywhere.
I am not.
But would y'all have liked to attend a school like this coming up?
Hell yeah, that'd be really cool, man. Like, I love the focus on, and this is something I harp on a lot. I hate the way our school system's set up, and it's like, here, learn about English lit and learn about all these things that you like. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter unless you're going on fucking Jeopardy or unless you're going to be a historian. Like, it doesn't. It's cool. If no knock to anyone else, I think that's one of the coolest things to do, to be able to sit there in front of like Jeopardy or to be able to just recite history, because your brain is like that. And I wish my memory was that good. I'll remember that I remember that, but I can't recite those type of things. And I'll
recall them.
Like my recollection on it isn't like that. So it's just like, cool. But there's different types of people in this world that this suits them better. If you get me in front of something that I actively enjoy and I like to do and I want to do it, I'm 100% there. But if I'm doing those other things, it's like, yeah, I know I can pass this class by half paying attention just because I'm smart enough to do that. Mm-hmm. But I don't care about it. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting the developmental parts of my youth to where I'm learning all that stuff that's so important to my growth. So I love stuff like this. This is awesome.
Micah.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I totally trades are huge. Even like with college and stuff, you study for a certain degree as far as college, but you still have to take all of these core classes, which technically have nothing to do. It's almost just like testing your aptitude for how much BS that you can
Jeopardy classes.
Yeah. like how much BS can you find you can sift your way through just to get through your actual degree, like the courses that actually matter. So I think that it's great. I think it's a great idea. I would have loved to go into a situation like this. My only thing that I'm worried about is has he taken all the steps for accreditation? Because the last thing I want is him to be producing another Bishop Sycamore. And
nice Bishop Sycamore reference. I like it.
We had to get it at least once.
Having a bunch of 28-year-olds. I'm still in high school. I'm really 18 on a piece of paper with a picture.
Is that Jarrett Jack over there? It's like, what the hell?
What did Jarrett Jack do to you? The slander hit this man's name.
Hey, wait, didn't I see that guy play for UNLV 4 years ago?
Sebastian Telfair? Is that you?
Oh wow, a Telfair reference.
I'm a junior in high school. What?
What was it? Lenny Cook, the guy who LeBron ended his high school career.
Is that Lenny?
Oh shit.
Oh man.
Take something so wholesome, we gotta turn into a joke.
Oh man.
No, but I agree with both of y'all. I think, especially in an underprivileged, underserved community, I think trades are so important because while Jeopardy classes and all that kind of stuff, while it prepares a certain demographic for the grueling process of sitting in an office all day and handling mundane tasks from day to day, it does do that, and the research component and all that. At the same time, that life is not for a majority of people. A majority of people aren't going to have office jobs. A majority of people aren't going to try to work their way up in the corporate world. And it's good to start a school where, with these 6 categories, can get people in trades, computer science, especially. I know Kwame Brown's always talking about getting kids coding, and that's so important in this day and age. And then not only that, I like how they lump it in something like basketball, where it immediately seems more cool to a kid than trades. That just, you're trying to call me stupid or something like that. But if you lump it into something that's interesting, then, it promotes like the coolness of this kind of thing, and maybe it makes it more widespread where people aren't ashamed of going to a trade school. Because I always felt that's got a bad connotation in our society, like going to trade school or doing all that kind of stuff.
Mike Rowe is excellent in talking about how important trades are and blue collar work. Blue collar work is. I hate that phrasing, white collar and blue collar. I mean, I get why it's called that, but it makes it seem less.
Right.
Trades are just as, if not more important than
corporate and they
jobs.
make bank. You can make bank work in trades, man. Like
some of my
plumbers, electricians
at HVAC.
Oh yeah,
make great money.
Right, like you easily can get up to 100K a year if you put some time into it.
Because like if your AC goes out, you're like, shit, call an HVAC guy. Like if you like mismanage your money, you're like, shit, call an accountant. Like you don't do that.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Most people just mismanage their money and their money's gone. But everybody needs to fix their AC. Everybody needs to have a flushable toilet. Everybody needs coding, websites built. Everybody needs all these things.
I will say this. Earl the Pearl needs to find Tom from MySpace, because nobody inspired more people to do coding than Tom from MySpace. Like you know how much coding information I learned just from being on MySpace.
Just Tom to put a song on your page and change the colors.
Tom was out here giving out tutorials left and right, baby. He was like, I'm inspiring the population, baby.
Right. You took what those like Java? What was that? Java script, all those little sites,
HTML and C++.
What were those like the little sites that you could make?
GeoCities.
The GeoCities.
Yeah, bro. And we turned our back on Tom. We don't deserve Tom.
Tom turned his back on us when he sold out to Justin Timberlake. Anyway, down the wrong road. The Lakers have acquired, so just a little Lakers and Nets talk before we get to the quick Hawk thing. The Lakers have acquired Rondo on a $2.6 million deal after he sabotaged the Clippers for a season, making their average roster age even older. So just real quick, do you think Rondo is still a player that can contribute like the media seems to think he is, or is it bubble Rondo or bust? Was that like a one-time thing where we're gonna ever see that Rondo again?
I think statistically, Rondo, as far as contributions goes, is, he's not there anymore. He can give you 4 or 5 a game, or maybe like on a great night give you 10 if he catches fire, but he's not going to be that. Teams bring in Rondo for different reasons, and it's leadership, it's teaching the game, it's, like Micah likes to point out in that one game where he comes down the court and he's like, no, you over there, you over there, you over there. And he runs the play and gets it wide open. Like, that's what
he tried to yell at Kawhi when he was yelling at Kawhi.
Like that, when I saw Rondo yelling at Kawhi, like yelling at him, it's because Kawhi is wrong. Like right. Rondo knows the game. He's like on like LeBron, CP3, and Rondo. Their knowledge of the game are equivalent. So that also made me think, oh, Kawhi, you're not as good as we thought you were, actually. So yeah, that's another segment, another time. But yeah, Rondo can contribute for sure, but just not in the ways that you would traditionally think.
Kawhi's basketball rain man.
Honestly.
So yeah, I think it's a bust, man. I think the bubble Rondo was a fluke. I want to say, because like even that whole season up until that point, Rondo didn't shoot that well. Like nothing about Rondo's game said that he was going to contribute to that level. Then all of a sudden they get in the bubble and he's energized and shooting the lights out and just swish. Like, bruh, when did Rondo become a 3-point shooter? Like, yo, when
in open gym, pretty much.
Like, yeah, like, bruh, like, oh man, it was like watching Rondo in the bubble was like watching Ben Simmons in them open gym pickup games where he's shoot turn around fadeaway threes and swishing everything, but then it's like, bruh, I guess when people are there you can't do it. Like we have fans and stands, it doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, I think his days are past him. He still provides some intelligence, which I thought he'd bring here last year, but obviously it didn't happen. Maybe Lloyd Pierce blocked that. His hatred for Trey was just like, no, don't teach him anything. This guy's terrible. Trey is terrible. Don't teach him anything.
I just don't think we didn't need that. We just needed more productivity. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree. I will say this about the whole Kawhi thing. I think if Kawhi didn't get injured, they probably would have won the championship, because the way that Kawhi was playing to close out that Maverick series, he was looking probably the best I've seen him play. And I think him, like you said, he yelled at Kawhi because he was wrong. And I think Kawhi's not going to show it, but it registered. Oh, shit. Like I did something wrong.
Oh, maybe I'm not perfect.
You're right. Maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I shouldn't just blame Paul George every game. But
hey, you can always blame Paul George.
You can always blame Paul George.
Paul George is trash.
But no, it wasn't the Dallas game. It was the next series that they won. Who were they playing in the second round?
No.
When he got hurt, I forget who they were playing.
No, it was Dallas.
Well, he turned up in the Dallas series, and then he played up on Utah in those couple of games before he got hurt again. Like he just, after those game 6 and 7 of that Dallas series, or game 5 and 6, I mean, I saw a different kind of Kawhi. Anyway, I agree with you. I think his productivity is done. I don't know what the Lakers are doing, man, but he's there. Here we go. So Brooklyn is trading DeAndre Jordan, 4 future second round picks and $5.78 million. Oh, is that lightning storm you're talking about? Probably. To Detroit for Jahlil Okafor and Sakua Doumbouya. I mean, he's a promising young talent. So now DeAndre is going to get bought out, and he expects to sign with the Lakers, making them even older. And LaMarcus Aldridge is coming out of retirement to join the Nets. So which of these old dudes will be more useful for their squads next season?
Oh, God. Push. I don't know what happened to LaMarcus Aldridge. Just like, all right, will he be okay for them? Like, yeah, he could be okay for the Nets, and then he's just like, I'm retired. And
he had that health scare, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a heart or blood clot or something. I forget exactly what it was.
Then DeAndre Jordan's legs are gone.
Dead.
So
dead as fuck.
Yeah, his legs are gone. That dunk on Brandon Knight will probably never happen again. He will never get up that high again, probably. It's just I want to say Aldridge's game is more versatile because he can shoot mid-range and stuff. So so I'll probably give the slight edge to him, but both of them look pretty bad to me, honestly.
So I don't know if y'all do this, but you know how you're not supposed to throw out old batteries. You're supposed to dispose of them the right way.
Cycle them. Yeah.
So you keep a box of them or like a bag of them.
Yes.
And like you're sitting on the couch and you're watching a show and you're like, I need to finish the show. And then all of a sudden your remote dies. And then you open up the drawer and you're like, we're out of fresh batteries. Which one of these mostly dead batteries can I put in my controller and have this work? God, I really need to finish this show. And there's no other way. Like you can't get it back to your TV. Like, this is it. And you're looking at it and you're trying to shake it. You're like, does this one, how do I tell if the battery still work? You're just like plugging them in. Like, I hope this works. Maybe we'll be able to get something out of it. That's this situation. I don't.
Yeah.
That's basically the Lakers as a whole in a nutshell.
That one. Like, I don't know. It's a crapshoot.
That's a pretty good analogy. Like I like Westbrook as the rechargeable battery.
He's the Energizer Bunny.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, LaMarcus Aldridge is a better player than DeAndre Jordan. He can contribute more just in terms of what he can do. But I mean, it's interesting that they have so many power forwards now. Now they have Jahlil Okafor, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Blake Griffin.
Okafor went to Detroit, right?
No, he came from Detroit to the Nets.
He's probably gonna get bought out. In all honesty.
Yeah. He's probably done in this league, but still though, I mean, if they have him, he's another guy who can, for whatever reason, on any given night, he could put up 18 points and 10 rebounds. He just never gets an opportunity to, probably because he's so bad at defense. But
did Rich Paul tell him he was $100 million athlete too?
Oh, Rich Paul.
Rich Paul actually called me last night and told me I'm $100 million. He saw me balling at Shady.
Quit your job.
You get $100 million contract in the NBA.
I'm selling the condo. I'm selling the condo, moving out to Cleveland. That's what he said. I got a shot. No, but and then real quick, last week it was trending that people were trying to argue over Steph and Kyrie. You don't got to give me a reason, but who you got, Steph or Kyrie?
Wait. Oh, just in general? I saw this thing. Steph all day.
Yeah, I'm taking Steph. Because at least I don't. Kyrie has his skills, but I can't deal with whatever his personality is. I can't deal with the flat earther.
Right. I saw something that was like, even though Clay's missed the last 2 seasons, he still played more games than Kyrie has in the last 3 seasons. This dude like taking birthday breaks and all this craziness. Like if Kyrie were 6'6", he'd be one of the best players of all time. But he's 6'2" and mentally fragile. So
I thought he's 6'4". Oh, Kyrie, yeah.
Steph all day.
Steph is 6'4".
And a little bit of Hawks news. So Clint Capella has agreed to a 2-year, $46 million extension in addition to the 2 years he already had left. So we got him for another 4 years. How y'all feel about this?
Love it. Extend everything to that 2023 season where it gets real pivotal as far as contracts and decisions are made, and it locks this core up. So I like it a lot.
I'm torn.
You're torn?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I was very disappointed in how he played in some of the playoff series. He played so small in some of those series, and it's just like, bro, I need you to be more aggressive. Like Milwaukee. I mean, watching PJ Tucker snag offensive rebounds over him, it did something to me. It was just like, PJ Tucker, no, like, dude, you got to do about like 5 inches. Like, bro, do not let this little dude get snatch a rebound from you. Like, between him and Bobby Portis, it just kind of, it made me see him in a different light. I still like Clint Capella, but it was just like when we needed him to be the tough, physical, big that he was all season for us, he just didn't impress me the way I thought he would.
I mean, when I heard it, there's a little bit of that apprehension, but I mean, at the same time, you got to consider he's going against a guy as big as Joel Embiid in a 7-game series. I mean, he needs help. Like, he can't.
Well, I'm not blaming him necessarily for the
right, because he did great in the Knicks series.
Yeah,
and then in Milwaukee, I mean, it is what it is because I mean, Trey goes down.
It's 3 7-footers that he was facing too.
Yeah, Trey goes down, and then it's like, okay, offensively, he's going to be a wash.
Bobby Portis is 6'11". You can call him a 7-footer.
Yeah, but it's just like putting the body on people, and
But then everybody, because you can't just point at Clint, because who was John Collins boxing out?
He was getting folded.
But I mean, that's another person I was critical on. I was talking about I'd trade him, see if we can get Zion or Bol or somebody.
Bol.
Yeah, like I said, there were things. I want to see us get bigger and a little more physical. And that was so, yeah.
What I'll say the biggest positive to me about Clint Capella is with a player like Trey, who's obviously a defensive liability. When you have a guy whether you either if we're just talking about regular season, when you have a guy that you can funnel people to, and then we have great wing defenders like people like DeAndre, Cam, even Herter, some of these guys. I think it makes it a lot easier, and it was well reflected in our record. The fact that you have a guy in the middle, even though he can't body a 7-foot, 300-pound guy, he's gonna, he can swat anybody else's shot. So, out of maybe two out of all the teams in the league, he's going to struggle, but anybody else, he's going to swat their shot and he's going to give you 12, 13 rebounds a game. So, I mean, I like it. I'm just injuries, the only thing that might be a problem.
He's the perfect modern day big until you run into a classic big.
Right. And, Embiid, I don't know how long his knees are going to last him anyway. So,
well, I think, that's a whole nother segment. I think today's NBA destroyed the big because they ask so much of big. So guys like Embiid they fall apart because they try to do too much and their frames can't hold up to it. But
I don't think that's why Embiid falls apart. Embiid falls apart because he tries to do clumsy stuff at 7'2". He tries to act like he's nimble like a guard. Always trying to dunk on people, landing funny. He always does goofy stuff.
Well, I mean, it's not just him. Like, it's the bigs who play more of a versatile game. Him and like Anthony Davis.
What about Jokic? Jokic is like an old school center. I mean, he plays like Larry Bird at the power forward position.
How quickly do you ever see Jokic move? It's legitimately in slow motion, and that's the difference. Like, there's quick moves, and then there's
yeah, he moves like Dirk. I mean,
yeah, it's like he doesn't move fast enough to hurt himself. So it's just like, all right, well, but versus, Embiid like legitimately does a lot of quick moves with.
Hey, maybe he needs to watch some Jokic tape because those knees are not going to
slow down.
If he keeps trying to dunk on people and act like he's a guard.
Yeah.
But that does it for the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint.
Real quick to touch back on that delusion of Florida State fans that I want to tell you about. So one of them just posted. So thinking if Notre Dame wins out and then we win out the rest of the season, will we be a playoff team? What?
Oh man.
Let's aim for like which of the, let's say, Outback Bowl, what's the one of the top four that's not going to be the championship game or a playoff game?
The Cotton Bowl
because I know they rotate them. So
I don't know what it is this year.
Let's stay in that range.
I'll take the Chick-fil-A Bowl, honestly.
Right, Chick-fil-A Bowl, but that might be in the play for the playoffs this year. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I like the enthusiasm.
I just wanted the Chick-fil-A Bowl, so it's here.
Yeah, true.
Well, you know what that means. It's time for the Suicide Squeeze. It's the MLB segment of the show. Yes.
Peanuts. Get your peanuts here.
Popcorn and peanuts. Get cold beer. Cold beer. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to start this off with some controversy in the MLB. So
yeah, Freddie was safe.
So the New York Court of Appeals has agreed to hear a long-running dispute between the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals over television right fees. So the dispute started in 2005 when the Montreal Expos moved to DC and became the Nationals, and the MASN, the network, was established. Now, granted, by moving to the DC area, they stepped right into Baltimore's like district. Like, yo, this is our market, and you just planted a team in the middle of our market. Now we have to share our market. So essentially the MASN paid the Nationals for the years 2012 and 2016 what the Orioles proposed that they should, which was $197.5 million. However, the Nats argued that it should have been $475 million. So they went to an arbitration panel of baseball execs to and allowed them to hear the case, and they decided that the Nats were owed 298.1 million, but it was thrown out of that whole judgment was thrown out by a New York Supreme Court justice. However, the New York Appellate Court overturned the Supreme Court justice throwing it out because he had a conflict of interest. So it went back to the MLB to decide the case. Well, the second time a panel of baseball execs heard it, they said the Nats were owed 296.8 million, just a little bit less. Yet the Orioles appealed it again. appealed it again. So now we're back at the beginning in New York Court of Appeals trying to hear the case. So who do y'all believe is right in this scenario? Should the Nats get the money because of what they've done, or are the Orioles right because they were there first?
It's a free market, so like you don't have the rights to people who like their money and the money that they will provide to you by watching TV simply because they live in an area. Like, put out a better product, they'll watch it. Like, the Nationals have won a World Series. What have you done?
So, Ripken.
Yeah, right? Like, that's Albert Bell, Cal Ripken, and Mike Mussina. Well, let's see. Mike Mussina went on to win at the Yankees. Albert Bell didn't do anything with you, and Cal Ripken's the Iron Man, but he didn't win anything. All right, so what have you done? I mean, the Orioles just haven't really.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah, steroids. Brady Anderson, steroids. Robbie Alomar, spit on the umpire.
Don't forget about Rafael Palmeiro and Viagra.
I forgot. There's a reason I forgot about that.
I would forget that one.
I take batting practice. Wait, what does batting practice have to do with Viagra?
So I mean, like, it's a free market. Like, the teams move. Like, if a team were to move to like Alabama, which is Braves country, and probably about the same, like if they were to move to like Huntsville, like 3 hours from Atlanta. DC is probably a little bit closer than Baltimore, but anyway, like the Braves can't be like, well, they were watching my show. Okay, well now they're watching theirs.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
go ahead.
I think at the end of the day, it's like Ryan said, it's about value. So it's always going to be the team that's not worth as much who's complaining about petty things like, oh, that they're making they're much more money than we think they should make, or you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if they're out here winning championships, investing in players, doing all the small things that you need to do to be successful, and the Orioles are over there just living off their colors and their logo, you know what I mean? Then they're gonna lose shares. So to me, to answer your question, I think who's right is whoever has better ratings, has better attendance, and wins more. I think that's who's right.
Yeah. I mean, I somewhat agree with y'all. The only thing I will say is I think this deal has kind of screwed Baltimore even more, which is why Baltimore is one of the lowest as far as salary caps in the league, because financially they're kind of bleeding because they did kind of steal their market away from Washington, did kind of steal their market away, and because they're more successful, they completely taken their fan base away from them. So it's one of the problems with baseball in general, is because there is no salary cap, there is no market sharing. So teams like the smaller market teams kind of get screwed, which is Baltimore's problem right now, because the Nationals came in and took the bigger market in DC and that DMV area, because that's a much bigger area, and then left them with Baltimore. And then you can't really compete up north because you have Boston and the Yankees, so and the Phillies. So it's almost like, yo, we get the short end of the stick. They cut in our market, which, we made decent money. Now you've pretty much killed all our television money. So, now we can't build a competitive team because, well, it's harder for us to build a competitive team because you took a good chunk of the money we would have made from that DC area.
True.
So.
But I think at the same time, like the NFL, it happened, even though the NFL is a lot different because obviously they share profits. The same thing happened where the Redskins had to, Baltimore came in late and took a lot of their fans. But at the end of the day, if you build it, they'll come. So if you build a team in an area closer to people and it's successful, they're going to follow it.
Who's Kevin Costner?
Who's Kevin Costner?
Yeah, I get, like I said, I get what you're saying, but I think, like I said, but that's one of the downsides because Washington took the bigger part of the market.
So do you have an Orioles jersey on under there?
Oh, no. Like I said, I just like it's part of, we had to talk about the whole problem with baseball anyway. So Washington took the money, like essentially took the money out from under their feet. Like, we moved from Montreal to steal we taking your fan base. So I get it. I understand both sides. That's the only thing I'm saying. Like, I understand why Baltimore is so salty about this whole situation because they wound up getting the short end of the stick financially, and they're struggling as a franchise because of it, which, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they decided to move from Baltimore altogether within the next 5 to 10 years or so. I know Dripster would be pretty pissed off about that, but it is what it is. So on to Braves news. Charlie Morton, we brought him back. We extended him, gave him a 1-year, $20 million extension. Which is a good move. He's been very good for us this year, and he provides us with some good veteran pitcher on the staff, and rotation. When we finally do get a healthy Soroka back, it can be huge. But talking about the Charlie Morton thing with the veteran experience and all that. The next question leads me to the next question. What about Drew Smiley? Should we bring him back, or just hope that one of the young guys like Enoa, Tukey, Tucker Davidson, or Kyle Wright can, attain their potential and become what we thought they were going to be? Which road would you take? Which road would either y'all take?
I'm about to take the Dennis Green approach. Drew Smiley is who we thought he is. Move on. There's no point. You can find a Drew Smiley out on the free agent market and sign a veteran who you're taking a gamble on and may perform a little bit better here because the team's better. But at the end of the day, he's going to be a high 3s, low 4 type of ERA guy. He'll probably go on a good year 9-8, maybe like 10-6 if he's really getting lucky. But the young guys, you don't know, and you can always cycle up more young guys because we got a deep staff. And I don't think any of the guys that you listed there are going to be the answer. Maybe Tucker Davidson. Definitely. I count him in already. So I'm thinking like Tukey, Tucker, Kyle, all those guys. Maybe throw him in as long relievers, but it's time to start casting guys aside that are continuously proving they're not it, like John Newcomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like with pitchers, it's always such a thing, like give them as many chances as possible. But like you said, with Smiley, I mean, he's proven a lot that, he's not going to contribute to a winning culture. So it's time to find somebody else who will, and let him maybe go try to salvage his career somewhere else in a new environment with new expectations.
Yeah, which was funny because Smiley probably had the best June and July of his career here this year, and in August was abysmal.
Yeah.
He had like a over 7 ERA in the month of August. So yeah, I mean, any chance of him getting extended probably died in the month of August because he was so bad.
Knowing Snit though, I would never rule it out. Knowing this organization and just
oh man.
Right.
I don't know. I would want to say AA has more sense than that, but I was gonna make a reference to the to ticket sales. You want an extension, you gotta sell some more tickets.
Come on, Drew.
right. They'll see what Smiley does in the off season about how many tickets he sells.
Sell some tickets, and then we'll consider. We need to see how committed you are. Sell some tickets, and we'll consider bringing you back.
We got a link set up for you.
So Charlie Morton's pitched 158 innings. Max Fried's pitched 136. Drew Smiley at 116. But he has given up double the home runs that those other two have.
Yeah.
That's where it hurts.
And his ERA is what, 4 something now?
4.71. Ian Anderson is right behind him and has given up 16 less home runs.
Yeah.
And then there's Josh Tomlin down there. Josh Tomlin, just a long ball machine.
Tomlin's another one he's probably been the only pitcher on the staff that's been worse than Drew Smiley in the month of August. So all right, so good news. Jock Peterson came back tonight. Against the Nationals. Do you see a score of the game, Ryan?
Yeah, we won 8-5.
Let's go.
8-5. Okay, cool. Which is good. Good to see he's back in the lineup. Also, lastly, the Braves became the second team in MLB history, which they're technically, I would consider them the only team because the other team was the cheating Houston Astros, in 2019 or whatever, banging on trash cans and stuff like that, giving out trash can, doing smoke signals to tell people to pitch, doing smoke signals to tell people to pitch and whatnot. So, but we are the second team in MLB history to have the entire infield hit 25 plus home runs. They are still on pace to become the first team to have every infielder hit over 30. So, what?
By the way, Albie's hit his a home run in the 4th straight game again.
He's been on fire since that kneecap.
Bruh, he's been on fire. Dansby's been on fire. Bruh, they said 40. Hold on, let me see. I got it stat up about Austin Riley. 40 games after the first 40 games after the All-Star break, Austin Riley's been batting .359 with 14 home runs, and versus like Chipper's MVP season. Chipper batted .340 with 12 home runs after the All-Star break. So yeah, it's like, bruh, Austin Riley quietly is one of the top names in the MVP race this year. So it looks like the year Bryce Harper might win it because he's been hot lately. But
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, we don't like him. They said Fernando Tatis is second, but if what's the name keeps playing like this and either one of them have a dip in their stats, I don't see how you can't give Austin Riley more of an opportunity to win it this year. So,
right. I mean, if anything, though, he'll lose points just because even when he was doing good, the team was still sort of losing. And then it's when Freddie turned back on, I feel like that everything turned around.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, this team has been hot as of late. Like, so many people top to bottom. Like, for the crazy thing is, even after Acuna went down, we've taken off. And it's like, you would think losing a player like Acuna, I mean, literally one of the top players in the league,
right,
that a team would start to struggle a little bit. It's like, nope. Everybody pick up the slack and catch fire. So,
But I mean, that sort of proves what I always sort of say about baseball. It's like the one sport where the greatest players don't ever necessarily lead to wins. It's like, Barry Bonds and like that. I mean, because Acuna is on that level, right? But it's like with him in the lineup, we weren't doing as good as we're doing now. But it's also a game of, baseball is a game of getting hot runs, and people heat up obviously when it gets hotter. But I did want to ask you, what do y'all think about, because in our stretch against the Yankees, who else we were playing? The Dodgers. We had a stretch where we were playing like the best teams in the league.
Yankees, Giants, Dodgers, and then we ended it with the Rockies, but they're not.
And we went 2-4 against those three teams. Do you think with what we got 2 against the Giants, right? And then we lost every other game.
Swept by the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a bad sign of the reality of this team, or do you think that's just like a scheduling hole?
I think we were just coming off a 9-game win streak, so we were bound to come down for after a while. And those are just 2 good teams. We didn't look bad against them. We could have won several of those games. The thing we have to figure out is our relief pitching, though. Like it come playoff time, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Smiley as a long reliever. I don't ever want to see Tomlin again. I don't ever want to see what's his face, Chris Martin, because actually Mike Bell made a really good point the other day that ever since that whole spider tack breakdown thing or crackdown thing, Chris Martin just went.
Yeah.
So he's pretty sure that he's one of those guys that was relying on spider tack.
Spider tack.
Yeah.
So real quick though, before I've got the updated odds for the MVP, and I'll bring that up here actually so everyone can see. So you've got in the NL, Fernando Tatis is at -280, then Bryce at +600, Max Muncy at +750, Freddie Freeman at +900, Joey Votto at +2,000, Trey Turner at +2,800, and then Austin Riley at +3,300. Us and the Dodgers are the only teams with 2 players on here in the NL. And then
I don't see how he's that far behind even Freddie.
I mean, I could see why the odds say, but the fact that his name's even on there is should be a good sign for him. But I mean,
they should both be +900. If Freddie's +900, Austin should be too.
At least +1,200. I mean, shoot.
AL at Shohei is a runaway at -5,000, and then Vlad at +1,400. Rafael Devers +8,000, Marcus Semien +8,000, Matt Olson +8,000, and Xander Bogaerts +8,000.
Yeah.
-5,000. Like, talk about a lock.
Now, I will say this though. So here's the crazy thing as of right now, we have 5 players who've hit 20+ home runs this season. Or who as a Brave, because Adam Duvall has over 20 home runs, but he only hit 10 as a Brave. The 5th person is Acuna, who played 82 games. He literally played half the season, and he already had 24 home runs. So it was like, bruh, he was on pace for like 56 or something like that. It was something ridiculously had he not gotten hurt.
Right.
He's always flirting with history. Every time if he could complete a full season, he's always flirting with history.
Yeah. So I mean, God, like Albies has 93 RBIs. Austin Riley 87. Freddie Freeman only got 73 though. So like, yeah, Freddie of the four infielders, Freddie Freeman has the least RBIs in the group.
Which is crazy.
He started rock cold. He was like super cool.
Yeah. He was also batting second in that lineup half the time, and Acuna would come up and just like, all right, you're the leadoff hitter now, Freddie.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's awesome though. I love to see it. Hopefully we stay hot. Oh, but to answer your question about the whole I think part of it was like Ryan said, 9-game winning streak, so we had to eventually come down. Another factor is road. It was all on the road. It was a long road trip. So, a lot of travel and stuff like that. You don't rest the same in hotels. You don't sleep the same. So yeah, there were a lot of things that factored into that. Like the bullpen is a problem though. We do need to figure that out. Drew Smiley, actually, I saw a stat today. They said Drew Smiley does well the first 2 times through the lineup. It's the third time he goes through the lineup is when you start to see the problems. That's when the ERA shoots up, the home runs start to come, and so on and so forth.
It's because,
So,
as you know, as a pitcher, you can trick people once or twice, but then it comes down to just pure stuff after that.
yeah. So, if we did put him in like a long or middle reliever where he might pitch 2 or 3 innings, and teams only see him once or twice, then yeah, he could definitely do a lot better as opposed to trying to pitch 6-7 innings. Once he gets to that 6th inning and they start to see him that third time around, it's like, all right, well, we've seen the best what he got. We know the sequence he typically likes to throw in, so we're going to shell him. So I'm going to get that fastball that I've been waiting for, and bang, home run. So,
Yeah.
But
What's our lead on the Phillies right now?
It was 1.5. Let's see. We won. And let's look at the rest of the MLB schedule. Did the Phillies play today? They are playing. They lost 10-0 to Milwaukee, so we're back up to 2.5.
Yeah.
No, that should be 3. We won, they lost, so 3.5. That's a 2-game jump, right? Yeah. So you go from 1.5 to 3.5 if you win and they lose.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, but
No, it's a game. Sorry, 2.5.
I know Magic.
I'm dumb.
I know Magic numbers work like that, but yeah, the games back don't. But that concludes the Suicide Squeeze.
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
We're 73 and 64. And the Mets are climbing back in it slowly too, but I think we're gonna close this out.
Forget the Mets.
Especially with our soft schedule coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get bullpen. We got to be bullpen. We can hit with anybody. Can we hold them though?
Mm-hmm.
That's all we got written. Y'all got a lightning round question?
No.
Quick comment then. People say you don't rest as well in hotels. Like, I get that as far as like MLB players go. And when you go to a nice hotel, like that's some of the best sleep I get. Those beds are, you don't have to worry about like all this stuff. I lay in that bed, I'm just like, I'm out. Like I will sleep so long in hotels.
But I wonder if that flips around though when you're constantly hotel to hotel.
You gotta know those are good hotels.
Bruh, whenever if I'm not at home, I don't care how nice the hotel is. I'm up at 5:30 every morning.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like I've legitimately gone out with friends. Like I remember one year celebrated a friend's birthday and stayed at a hotel that night after. I went to sleep at 2 a.m. By 6 o'clock, I was up, and it was just like, all right, well, time to take a shower. Like it was like, bro, I could not. I can't sleep when I'm not at home. So
yeah, I mean, I could see maybe there's some of that. Like if you're constantly on the road and getting home, there's a different kind of comfort then. But for me, I mean, I agree with you. Like there's something about those big, comfy white, those white comforters and those beds, and and then I think there's also an idea like when you're in a hotel, you're sort of in a relaxed mode.
Mm-hmm.
You're not worried about the stress of whatever's going on in your life. So I agree with you.
All right. Well, that was episode 68. We are Fish and Grit Sports. Thanks for watching. As always, you you know where to find us, and to make sure to smash that like and that thumbs up, or that's the same thing. And turn on the notifications. Ring the bell. Or you can ring my bell. Ring my bell.
And if you like fish and grits and all that sports shit, everybody let me hear you say, oh, yay. Oh, yay.